Chapter 1102. In addition to the spiritual consciousness blades and spiritual consciousness thorns, he also cultivated the relatively powerful dark consciousness storm. Dark consciousness storm was not only a spirit technique, but also a powerful spirit technique. The dark consciousness storm spirit technique required one to control the laws of space, which combined the spiritual consciousness with the space spirit technique to attack the opponent. It was not an attack on the opponent's sea of consciousness, but a physical attack. Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness far exceeded those in the same realm, and he could even easily deal with those on a higher level. However, if he wanted to use the dark consciousness storm to deal with opponents much stronger than him, it still lacked a lot. At this time, Ning Cheng's dark consciousness storm spirit technique had only reached the threshold. However, using the dark consciousness storm spirit technique against powerful opponents was not as useful as using other spirit techniques. Now that he had tempered his spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss, his spiritual consciousness had not only grown stronger than before, but the toughness of his spiritual consciousness had also improved. Now, his spiritual consciousness could even tear through the Tao charm laws. If he used the spiritual consciousness he had tempered in the perpetual moon abyss and brought out the dark consciousness storm, his attack power would definitely be several times stronger than before. Even if it grew several times stronger, facing a powerhouse with much higher cultivation than him, he wouldn't be able to create a dark consciousness storm that could engulf the opponent in his spiritual consciousness storm and let him slaughter them. If he met an opponent similar to him, he might be able to do this, but what was the point of it? In Ning Cheng's view, a spirit technique was something that could turn the tide of the battle at a critical moment and help him win. Against opponents with similar cultivation, he had too many spirit techniques at his disposal. As such, he didn't need to use the dark consciousness storm at all. The Great Tao was simple, so why couldn't spirit techniques be simple? His spirit techniques didn't require him to be in a stalemate with his opponent, but as long as he had a chance to win. What if he could make the dark consciousness storm and spiritual consciousness thorns have the same abrupt attack effect? Compressing his own divine sense into a needle-like attack, and after the thin needle blasted through the opponent's defense, it would suddenly explode like the maximal flame divine ability. Wouldn't that allow him to exert his powerful divine sense to the extreme? It had both the violence of the dark consciousness storm and the simplicity of the spiritual consciousness thorns. Gorgeous spirit techniques might look good, but this kind of spirit technique was even more effective. With a clear direction, Ning Cheng continued to temper his spiritual consciousness while consciously using his spiritual consciousness to deduce new spirit techniques. In the beginning, Ning Cheng compressed the dark consciousness storm, but Ning Cheng soon discovered that it was still a dark consciousness storm. In the end, Ning Cheng simply rolled up all of his spiritual consciousness and used the laws of space and the laws of time to bypass the domain he simulated in the perpetual moon abyss before erupting. Just like a shadowless and invisible spiritual consciousness needle, this needle could sweep up all of Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness power, and in the shortest time possible, it could penetrate into the opponent's body. Then, just like the maximal flame spiritual technique, it would explode before the opponent could even react. The explosion of divine sense was several times stronger than the explosion of divine essence. Ning Cheng was confident that he could even severely injure a Tao essence divine emperor. The only regret was that this kind of explosion would consume one's divine sense. It was a method of harming oneself while harming the enemy. Since Ning Cheng had the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, he didn't care about this desperate spirit technique. What he wanted was a method. He couldn't rely on the 5-colored star splitter arrow every time something happened. The 5-colored star splitter arrow wasn't omnipotent. It also consumed a lot of spirit essence and spiritual consciousness. Boom! 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 After Ning Cheng started simulating the new spiritual consciousness spirit technique, the space around the mysterious yellow bead continued to explode. Ning Cheng had just started simulating this spirit technique, so he naturally wouldn't blast out all of his spiritual consciousness and condense it into an explosive spiritual consciousness needle. If that were the case, his Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill would disappear before he could finish cultivating this spirit technique. Not only would he lose the Empyrean Consciousness Transmutation Pill, but his sea of consciousness would also suffer severe damage. Another half a year passed, and Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could now stay within a range of 3 feet for a few minutes. Moreover, his new spiritual consciousness spirit technique was even more shadowless and invisible. Once activated, it could explode one's spiritual consciousness for half a breath. Once he poured all of his spiritual consciousness into this spirit technique, it would be several times more powerful than the god-slaying bead that cut off the violent aura of his spiritual consciousness. However, once he poured all of his spiritual consciousness into this spirit technique, even with the help of the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pill, he wouldn't be able to recover his vitality in a short time. Boom! When Ning Cheng blasted away a large portion of the violent aura within 5 feet of the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng stopped practicing. He knew that he had succeeded with this spiritual consciousness spirit technique. This spiritual consciousness would be called dark consciousness explosion in the future. Tempered in the perpetual moon abyss, the spiritual consciousness contained a violent aura that could produce a powerful tearing sensation. This tearing sensation wasn't just a physical tearing. If it struck a cultivator, it could even tear apart the other party's corporeal body and Tao charm laws. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness grew stronger and stronger in the perpetual moon abyss, he no longer acted like a headless fly. Instead, he chose a direction and kept moving forward. With things to do, Ning Cheng didn't know if time passed quickly or slowly. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness stretched out a few dozen feet in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng suddenly felt an emptiness outside of his spiritual consciousness. The violent aura he had used to temper his spiritual consciousness had completely disappeared. Did he rush out of the perpetual moon abyss? As Ning Cheng thought of this in his heart, he immediately rushed over, and immediately felt the endless essence spirit fragments. These essence spirit fragments not only contained traces of powerful Tao charm but also contained a variety of memories and spirit technique fragments. Ning Cheng immediately came out of the mysterious yellow bead and felt the essence spirit fragments around him in shock. How many powerhouses had fallen to produce such an effect? The chaotic Tao charm aura mixed together. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness tempering in the perpetual moon abyss was not in vain. The Tao charm of these essence spirit fragments had all been blasted out by his domain. In fact, even if he had not tempered his spiritual consciousness in the perpetual moon abyss, Ning Cheng did not fear these chaotic essence spirit fragments. He still had the 7 bridges spirit technique. To deal with these things, the 7 bridges spirit technique was the best choice. Standing in the midst of the endless essence spirit fragments, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was about to carefully stretch out to find out what this place was when he suddenly heard a voice. "You are the only one who survived in the perpetual moon abyss. What is your name?" This voice seemed to come from the ground, but it also seemed to come from the side. Ning Cheng shivered and immediately brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort to protect his body. At the same time, the void cold light spear also appeared in his hand. "This spear won't do, but the everlasting blue thunder fort is good." The voice came again, ethereal and without any roots. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness caught it this time. This voice did not seem to have condensed into a solid form. It seemed to be just an essence spirit, or even an incomplete essence spirit. "I understand now. You are the origin of the Fallen Soul Gorge. Did you bring the countless fallen souls in the Fallen Soul Gorge here? You even wanted to kill me before, didn't you? Why can you survive in the perpetual moon abyss?" Ning Cheng became even more vigilant when he realized that the other party should be the essence spirit that absorbed the souls in the Fallen Soul Gorge. It was because his essence spirit was almost sucked away that he had no choice but to jump down the perpetual moon gate. He did not expect that after jumping down, he would meet the owner. How could he escape? The voice from the abyss remained silent for a long time before slowly speaking. "According to normal logic, you should be the one who ruined my plans. As for the Fallen Soul Gorge's powerful 10-directional soul-absorbing array, it has nothing to do with me. Did I ruin his plans?" In any case, Ning Cheng felt a lot more relaxed now that he knew that the other party could not directly absorb his essence spirit. The Fallen Soul Gorge's 10-directional soul-absorbing array was powerful. Ning Cheng pondered for a moment and suddenly said, "I know who you are. You are Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor Ji Fengyu. Everyone thought that you had fallen, but no one expected you to hide here and absorb the essence spirits of others to restore your cultivation. Even those primordial chaos holy emperors were probably captured by you to restore your cultivation, right? You were the one who set up the 10-direction soul-absorbing array, and it's also for you. The voice turned silent again, and after a while, it spoke again. I don't know if I'm Ji Fengyu or not. I'm just a trace of Ji Fengyu's spiritual sense. Before participating in the war, Ji Fengyu had a premonition that he would not end well, so he left behind a few traces of his spiritual sense. The purpose was to recreate his corporeal body and essence spirit in case something happened. This is one of the places he arranged. Over the years, the Perpetual Moon Abyss Grand Array has helped me integrate countless primordial chaos blood essences and extracted countless essence spirits to absorb. Maybe after a while, I will form my own body. But I'm no longer the Ji Fengyu of the past, not even an avatar. Ning Qing breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. Ji Fengyu had arranged this essence spirit. Ji Fengyu knew that the consequences would be dire, so he had arranged it in advance. He had not expected that this essence spirit would form a new consciousness after absorbing a large number of primordial chaos holy emperors and even Tao integration powerhouses essence blood, Tao runes, and essence spirits. This was because the things absorbed were too complicated, and the newly formed consciousness slowly melted away Ji Fengyu's own consciousness. If a third step almighty could make such a mistake, it showed that third step almighties were also human. Ning Qing felt relieved because he felt that this essence spirit did not pose a threat to him. If the other party had threatened him, he would not have allowed anyone to use that platform to leave. I'm not a threat to you. It's your business that you have the mysterious yellow bead. Even if I wanted to snatch your mysterious yellow bead, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to do anything. You don't have to worry about me. Of course, you're not a threat to me. Even if you stay here for countless years, you won't be able to hurt me, the voice in the abyss continued. Ning Qing felt more at ease. This guy wanted to recreate his own body and leave this place, but it would probably take him tens of thousands of years. There was no need for him to worry or pay attention to this guy. When I was comprehending the Sea of Twilight's Tao Charm spirit technique and was about to leave, were you the one behind it? Ning Cheng's tone turned cold. Although he had some scars because of Yu Qing, he would not fail in that situation. Now, Ning Qing finally understood that it was most likely this guy's doing. Chapter 1103. The Abyss Primordial Spirit said calmly, "This is the place where the Sea of Twilight divine power is formed. I can only affect people who have been to the Sea of Twilight. You have been there, so I called you down. I originally wanted to make a deal with you." Ning Qing sneered, "A deal? I'm afraid you want to kill me. If I didn't have the mysterious yellow bead, I would have already died to the violent Tao charm of the Perpetual Moon Abyss." The voice was still incomparably calm. "You fell because your strength was not up to par. It has no conflict with my deal." Ning Qing also calmed down. He knew that without the help of this abyssal primordial spirit, he might not be able to leave this place. This primordial spirit was right. If he died, his belongings would eventually fall into the hands of this primordial spirit. "Originally, I only wanted to ask you for 3 twilight sand and 2 drops of glimmer of dawn ice essence. Now, I want to ask for one more thing from you. Whether you want to trade or not is up to you." The primordial spirit's tone had always been flat. "I don't have any twilight sand, and I only have a single drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence. I want something else." Ning Qing refused without hesitation. The twilight sand was what he needed to forge the soul transformation spear, and he didn't have many glimmer of dawn ice pith left. How could he trade with this primordial spirit? The life essence seemed to never have a temper, so when Ning Qing said that he didn't, he just gave an "oh" sound and didn't say anything else. Ning Qing waited for a long time, but did not get an answer from the life essence. As such, he gave out a sigh and spoke, "I do not have any twilight sand, but I do have a drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence. You can talk about the other things." Without the help of this essence spirit, even if he could leave the Perpetual Moon Abyss, how long would he have to wait? What if he really couldn't leave? He did not have the confidence to go against the other party. Since you have the mysterious yellow bead, I need a bit of the mysterious yellow origin. The life essence spoke up in a calm voice, of course, if you give me a mysterious yellow origin, then even if there is no twilight sand, and only a drop of glimmer of dawn ice essence, I would still be willing to trade with you. Then what did you give me? Ning Qing asked. When the other party spoke about a fist of mysterious yellow origin, Ning Qing immediately understood what he meant, that is, he wanted to use a restriction to wrap up the fist-sized mysterious yellow origin chi and give it to him. The essence spirit's tone was very calm. I have an array flag for you. It can allow you to leave this place. Just this thing, and you want my mysterious yellow origin? Do you think that the mysterious yellow origin is something that can be found on the streets? Ning Qing angrily spoke. His essence soul remained calm. A deal is between both parties. You can trade with me or not. With my current ability, I can only absorb passively. As long as you don't die here, I won't be able to oppress you. Ning Qing immediately lost his temper. The words of the other party were very reasonable, no one was forcing him to trade. Ning Qing knew that he could not deal with the other party, and helplessly spoke up, we can trade, but I have to ask you a few questions. Ask away, but you only have 3 chances to answer. The primordial spirit's tone was like plain water. Don't you know where Ji Fengyu went? In Ning Cheng's opinion, since this essence spirit was a sliver of Ji Fengyu's consciousness, then it should contain Ji Fengyu's whereabouts. I don't know. I'm not a sliver of Ji Fengyu's primordial spirit. I'm just a sliver of consciousness that he left behind. I don't know which positional plane Ji Fengyu went to and what he did. But since you can go to the Sea of Twilight, it means that Ji Fengyu's world has collapsed. Otherwise, his Sea of Twilight spirit technique would not have turned into a pile of rubble. When it came to Ji Fengyu, the essence soul spoke as if it was talking about an unrelated person. Ning Qing finally understood, and in his heart, he felt even more amazed by Ji Fengyu's wealth. Leaving behind the perpetual moon gate, leaving behind the fallen soul gorge, just to serve a sliver of his consciousness. If replaced by someone else, this kind of wealth would require at least a sliver of their essence soul to remain here. Let me ask you again, since Ji Fengyu knew that he was in danger, why didn't he choose to reincarnate? Instead, he used this method to help you grow. This was the thing that puzzled Ning Qing the most. For a powerhouse in the world creation realm, reincarnation should be a very simple matter, right? The essence soul still spoke in a calm voice, the world creation realm is the 3rd step of Tao confirming. After experiencing the 3rd Deva's blight, one would have already surpassed reincarnation. How could there be reincarnation? The 3rd step of Tao confirming can't reincarnate? Ning Qing spoke in shock. This was the first time he heard that the 3rd step of Tao confirming couldn't reincarnate. For the first time, the essence soul's tone contained a trace of disdain, who said that the 3rd step of Tao confirming can't reincarnate and can choose to reincarnate in their own world? Ji Fengyu's world shattered, so how could he reincarnate in his own world? Of course, if you have the same transcendental treasure, you can also reincarnate. It's just that the 3rd step of Tao confirming's reincarnation is far from what you think. Very few 3rd step powerhouses would choose to reincarnate. Well, now that you've asked your 3 questions, let's trade. Ning Qing had to speak up, my next question is related to the trade. I can trade with you, but you have to tell me the specific location of the Jiao Yang Mountain's true Yang heart. The essence soul interrupted Ning Cheng's words, the Jiao Yang Mountain I know only came from absorbing the broken fragments of other essence souls. As for the true Yang heart you mentioned, I don't know about it. Then send me to the 9 primordial ice cave, and... The essence soul interrupted Ning Cheng's words again, I can only send you out of the fallen soul gorge. I can't do anything else. Ning Cheng became angry, you can't do this, you can't do that, why should I trade with you? Maybe one day I can climb up from the perpetual moon abyss and teleport away from that platform again. The essence soul turned silent and seemed to feel that Ning Cheng was right. After waiting for half an incense stick worth of time, the essence soul spoke up, your Tao heart is scarred. Even if you have the mysterious yellow bead, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to reach the third step. I have a recalling Bodhi seed, which I obtained from a Tao Unification Holy Emperor's ring. I'll give it to you as the price. Recalling Bodhi seed? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. He had never heard of the recalling Bodhi seed before. According to the name, it should be a spiritual object. However, he had seen plants in the universe, but he had never seen a recalling Bodhi seed. It doesn't matter if you don't know about it. I can't explain it to you. When you can't enter the third step of Tao confirming, this recalling Bodhi seed might help you a little. When the time comes, you will know the reason for it. It wouldn't be good for me to explain it to you. This is all I can offer. If you don't want to trade, then forget it. The Essence Soul didn't feel anxious at all. I'll trade. Ning Cheng finished and took out a jade bottle. At the same time, he wrapped a fist-sized mass of mysterious yellow qi. Ning Cheng was experienced and knew that he couldn't squeeze anything out of this Essence Soul. Therefore, he simply agreed. Sure enough, after he took out these two things, two other things suddenly appeared not far in front of him. One was a jade box, and the other was a strange array flag. Ning Cheng grabbed these two things, and the jade bottle and the mysterious yellow qi in front of him were also swept away by a force. Ning Cheng opened the jade box and saw a grayish thing lying inside. He couldn't see anything unusual about it. He didn't continue to study it. Instead, he covered it with several layers of restrictions and sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ning Cheng had always been careful with things he didn't recognize. After putting away the jade box, Ning Cheng looked at the array flag in his hand. Sure enough, as soon as this array flag touched his hand, Ning Cheng felt a strong twilight Tao charm aura. From the looks of it, this Essence Soul didn't lie. This array flag should really be the array flag to get out. Ning Cheng put away the everlasting blue thunder fort and let the Tao charm permeate into the array flag. The array flag instantly activated, and a sunset glow rolled out. Ning Cheng instantly disappeared from the perpetual moon abyss without a trace. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng felt something under his feet. He knew that he had truly teleported out. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, he soon saw several saint emperors passing by the edge of his spiritual consciousness. This made Ning Cheng feel relieved. Sure enough, he had returned to the Jiaoyang mountain. That Essence Soul had kept its word and didn't do anything disgusting. The Black Clay Canyon had so many spirit veins. It was a small matter that he didn't obtain even one, but he ended up being forced to enter the Perpetual Moon Gate. If he hadn't tempered his spiritual consciousness in the Perpetual Moon Gate and successfully cultivated the Dark Consciousness explosion, he would have suffered a huge loss entering the Jiaoyang mountain. Ning Cheng didn't plan to contact Mang Yong right now. The most important thing for him now was to hurry to the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Wan Yuheng, whom he met in the Perpetual Moon Gate, had once given him a map of the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Now, he naturally wanted to go to the Nine Origins Ice Cave and find the true Yang Heart first. As long as he found the true Yang Heart, he would have the confidence to melt the Nirvana Spear and refine a Good Fortune Divine Spear of his own. Even if his Good Fortune Divine Spear was a knockoff, it was still several grades stronger than the Void Cold Light Spear. Refining the real Good Fortune Divine Spear, Ning Cheng had long since given up on it. 5-element spirit water and heaven-opening iron essence were not things he could obtain. Even if he could obtain them, how many years would it take? The Jiaoyang mountain was indeed boundless. Ning Cheng followed the map and walked for more than half a month. He didn't know how many dangers he had to face along the way before he finally arrived at the periphery of the Nine Origins Ice Cave. After Ning Cheng arrived, he found that he wasn't the only one who came to the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Even at the periphery of the Nine Origins Ice Cave, Ning Cheng saw hundreds of cultivators. He even saw several Tao Essence Holy Emperors. The news about the true Yang Heart in the Nine Origins Ice Cave came from the Perpetual Moon Gate. These people shouldn't be here for the true Yang Heart, right? The more Ning Cheng thought about it, the more uncertain he became. He stopped a Tao Actualization Holy Emperor and asked, Tao friend, why did so many people come to the Nine Origins Ice Cave? The Tao Actualization Holy Emperor looked at Ning Cheng in confusion and said, Tao friend, are you not here for the true Yang heart? Ning Cheng's heart skipped a beat. So it was like this. Damn, did these people in the Jiao Yang mountain all have dog noses? How could they even find out about this? He finally got this news and came here. He didn't expect the whole world to know about it. So that's how it is. I heard that a few decades ago, the Jiao Yang mountain also found the true Yang heart. Where was it found? Ning Cheng asked again. The Tao Actualization Holy Emperor could tell that Ning Cheng had just arrived. Since Ning Cheng was already aware of what Ning Cheng asked, he also did not conceal it. The true Yang heart was found in the Flame Sun Forest, while the true Yang heart in the Nine Primordial Ice Cave has been found for a few months, but no one has managed to obtain it yet. Ning Cheng felt quite annoyed. If the true Yang heart was taken away, he could only go to the last place, the 10,000 Needle Lake. Chapter 1104. The Nine Origins Ice Cave didn't look like a plain from the outside, but a huge sloping mountain. From afar, this huge mountain looked like a terraced field. On the sloping hillside, there were countless holes. Even though Ning Cheng was far away, he could feel the cold aura coming from these holes. From the looks of it, these holes should be the entrances to the Nine Origins Ice Caves. All kinds of figures were constantly coming in and out of these holes. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, but found that even with his powerful spiritual consciousness, he could only sweep through an ordinary hole a few thousand meters deep. As he tried to go deeper, it felt as if he had encountered an invisible chill, causing his spiritual consciousness to be blocked. There were some holes that his spiritual sense couldn't even reach a kilometer. Ning Cheng finally understood why there were rumors of a true Yang heart here, but after a few months, no one had found it. If someone didn't find the true Yang heart, it was because there were too many entrances to the ice caves, making it impossible to find the true Yang heart. If these holes were searched one by one, even if there were tens of thousands of people, it would take hundreds of years to find all of them. And this didn't include the forks in the ice caves. Counting the forks, the search time would be even more immeasurable. A Tao Essence Divine Emperor came out of one of the ice caves. He didn't continue to look for other caves. Instead, his figure flashed and he left the Nine Origins Ice Cave. Ning Cheng knew that this person didn't leave because he found the true Yang heart, but because he didn't have confidence in finding it. With so many ice caves here, it wouldn't be easy to find the entrance to the true Yang heart. Just like this Tao Essence Divine Emperor, after coming out of the ice cave, they gave up looking for the true Yang heart. It wasn't just one person but many people who left. But there were also many people like Ning Cheng who joined the search from afar. Ning Cheng landed at the entrance of an ice cave and didn't go in. If he went in one by one, how long would it take? What's more, the chance of finding it was less than 1 in a million. I don't know what flame Tao friend brought. I have a top-grade flame with a Yin attribute. If Tao friend is willing, we can take out our flames and work together. Just as Ning Cheng was hesitating, a Tao Actualization Divine Emperor landed in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was slightly startled. What did finding the true Yang heart have to do with flames? This guy had obviously seen him as a newcomer. I have a god-grade flame. Ning Cheng replied. However, he was thinking in his heart, could it be that the flame could sense the true Yang heart? Hearing this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor became even more enthusiastic. Tao friend, I just arrived here not long ago. My flame can't sense the true Yang heart. I can't pinpoint the exact location. If fellow Taoist is willing to join hands with me, if we manage to obtain the true Yang heart, we'll split it in half, half for each of us. How about it? It was not strange for the true Yang heart to split into 2 halves. Some of the weaker god-level flames only needed to reach the peak of the god level to be able to split into 2 halves. Using half of the true Yang heart, there was a chance for it to evolve into a sacred flame or a quasi-sacred flame. A quasi-sacred flame that only used half of the true Yang heart to advance would be weaker by a few levels. No matter how weak it was it was not something that a god-level flame could compare to. Can you really feel the true yang heart with flames? Ning Qing finally asked. The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor didn't find Ning Cheng's question strange. He thought Ning Qing knew about this and said with certainty, indeed. Back in Fire Sun Forest, this was proven to be true. Of course, this mainly depends on the choice of the true yang heart. Treasures like the true yang heart will automatically choose a flame. Only when it feels that the flame is worthy of it will it reveal its aura. Although the higher the grade of the flame, the more likely it is for the true yang heart to reveal its aura. However, some rare flames will be favored by the true yang heart even if they aren't eye-catching. Fire Sun Forest's true yang heart revealed its aura to a low-grade flame, Snow Essence Fire. Ning Qing suddenly realized. He thought these people were running around like headless flies. It turned out that these guys all had flames and could sense the traces of the true yang heart. He didn't know who leaked this method, but it should be related to that guy with the Snow Essence Fire. Thinking about this, Ning Qing cupped his fists towards the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor and said, "Thank you, Tao friend. I plan to look for it myself." Hearing that Ning Qing didn't plan to cooperate, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor looked disappointed and left to find a new partner. Ning Qing felt sure that this guy had been here for a long time. His flame definitely couldn't attract the aura of the true yang heart. Otherwise, why would he cooperate with others? Ning Qing brought out the celestial river flame and the nameless flame on his wrist and started to move around outside the 9 origin ice cave. To Ning Cheng's disappointment, even after a whole day, Ning Qing couldn't find any clues or feel the aura of the true yang heart. In desperation, Ning Qing could only choose an ice cave that his spiritual consciousness could only penetrate about 100 meters into. As soon as he entered the ice cave, Ning Qing felt a burst of cold. If not for the protection of his domain, his clothes would have turned into nothingness. This place might be more suitable for body forging, Ning Qing thought to himself as he brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City and carefully went in. The ice cave was crystal clear, and when the cold aura hit the everlasting Blue Thunder City, it made cracking sounds. Ning Qing had all kinds of icicles floating around him, looking like an upside-down fairy tale world. The more Ning Qing walked in, the more spacious it became. Icicles, ice lakes, ice mountains all appeared on both sides. After an hour, Ning Qing felt that it was getting colder and colder. He decided not to go in anymore. In addition to perseverance, one also needed opportunities to obtain treasures. If there was no opportunity, then even if one had perseverance, it would still be useless. Just at this time, Ning Qing heard a dull thud. Did someone dig the walls of the ice cave? Ning Qing was just about to move over when he heard the sound of broken ice falling to the ground, followed by a figure wearing a blue robe appearing in front of Ning Qing. This person did not seem to have expected to meet someone here. He looked at Ning Qing in doubt but did not speak. Instead, he turned around and continued to go deeper into Ning Qing's ice cave. Ning Qing did not want to talk to this person. Just when he was about to turn around and go out, the nameless flame on his wrist suddenly pulsed slightly. It seemed to have sensed something and sent out some messy pulsations. Ning Qing immediately felt excited in his heart. Could it be that the nameless flame felt the aura of the true yang heart? His spiritual consciousness tried to communicate with the nameless flame, but the nameless flame was something that Ning Qing had refined later. Moreover, he had not upgraded it. As such, when communicating with the nameless flame, it was far inferior to the celestial river flame. In any case, the nameless flame pulsating now meant that there was something wrong with it. Maybe it wasn't the nameless flame, but the blue-robed cultivator from a moment ago. Since the blue-robed cultivator's flame could sense the true yang heart, it also sensed it. Otherwise, how could he not have sensed it before the blue-robed cultivator came? The thought of finding the true yang heart made Ning Qing excited. Ning Qing no longer thought of looking back and continued to follow the blue-robed cultivator. After half an incense stick worth of time, the blue-robed cultivator stopped and looked at Ning Qing coldly. What does this Tao friend mean? Why are you following me? This blue-robed cultivator was at the late-stage Tao transformation realm, while Ning Qing was at the early-stage Tao transformation realm. When he spoke to Ning Cheng, his tone carried a hint of oppression. It seemed that if Ning Cheng did not understand the situation, he would not blame him for being rude. Ning Cheng frowned slightly and spoke with an equally unhappy tone. Dao friend asked me what I mean. I also want to ask you what you mean. If Dao friend is reasonable, then I should have come to this ice cave first, right? You came in from another place, and I didn't say anything. Yet, you think that I shouldn't have come here? There is no such logic in this world. After hearing Ning Cheng's words, the blue-robed cultivator seemed to feel that he was being a bit rude. He simply stopped and said, in that case, Dao friend can go ahead. I will wait for Dao friend to go further before moving. The everlasting blue thunder fort above Ning Cheng's head was a bit powerful. Although he was at the late-stage Dao transformation realm, he did not dare to attack Ning Cheng for a while. Ning Cheng suspected that the blue-robed cultivator had caused the nameless flame to jump. But now that the blue-robed cultivator asked him to go first, he felt embarrassed to stay here and argue. This person clearly didn't want to be with him. Ning Cheng had to speed up his pace and move forward quickly. As he said, the blue-robed cultivator didn't move. After another incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng could still feel the nameless flames throbbing. It made him feel overjoyed. It seemed that he wasn't basking in the blue-robed cultivator's light, but because the nameless flame had indeed jumped. As more and more forks appeared in the depths of the cave, Ning Cheng moved forward according to the direction of the nameless flames throbbing. Another 2 hours passed, but Ning Cheng did not move forward. Instead, he stopped in front of an ice wall. The nameless flames throbbing pointed in another direction. It seemed that he wanted to dig a hole like the blue-robed cultivator. Before Ning Cheng could move, he saw the blue-robed cultivator appear behind him again. Ning Cheng's face sank. Dao friend, there are so many forks in this ice cave. Why do you have to follow me? The blue-robed cultivator's face stiffened slightly, but he was secretly shocked. How could this person find the right direction? Just when the blue-robed cultivator was about to speak, Ning Cheng suddenly stopped in front of him and said, "You don't have to say anything. I'll immediately dig this place and leave alone. I just hope that you don't follow me anymore. Otherwise, I will take it as a provocation." The blue-robed cultivator opened his mouth but closed it helplessly. Ning Cheng had just said what he wanted to say. When he heard Ning Cheng's words, he was about to say that they would dig a hole here and leave. He didn't expect that this person would say it before him. From this, it could be seen that this Dao transformation divine emperor with the everlasting blue thunder fort could also feel the throbbing flame from the true yang heart. Chapter 1105. Walking the right way once or twice could be attributed to luck. After passing through so many forks in the road, Ning Cheng was still able to walk in the right direction. It was definitely not luck. If it was something else, the blue-robed cultivator would have chosen to cooperate. But there was only one true yang heart, and he would never cooperate with another person. Thinking of this, the blue-robed cultivator didn't wait for Ning Cheng to do anything. He took out a talisman and said to Ning Cheng, "It's my fault. I should have gotten out of the way first." After saying this, the blue-robed cultivator slapped the talisman on the ice wall and disappeared along with the talisman. He didn't even want to dig through the ice wall and slowly find the way. Instead, he took out the talisman and chased after him. Ning Cheng cursed in his heart. This guy obviously wanted to get the true yang heart before him. He couldn't let this guy find the true yang heart first. Ning Cheng broke through the ice wall and followed behind. In just half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng saw the blue-robed cultivator. The blue-robed cultivator also saw Ning Cheng. The two stopped talking and just rushed through the ice cave with all their might. The two didn't know how many ice caves they had passed through and how many forks they had gone through. They only stopped when they heard a fierce quarrel. Ning Cheng didn't stop because of the quarrel, but because the nameless flame sensed the pulsating aura here. Ning Cheng could sense it, and so could the blue-robed cultivator. The quarrel was between 3 cultivators, 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 men were late-stage Dao transformation cultivators. Ning Cheng could tell at a glance, but he didn't take it seriously. Not to mention 2 late-stage Tao transformation cultivators. Even if he couldn't snatch the true Yang heart from 2 Tao essence holy emperors, he could still walk away calmly. He was no longer the Tao birth cultivator who would run away when he saw a Tao essence holy emperor in the divine sea city. His gaze landed on the woman. She was wearing a black Taoist robe that even covered her neck. He felt that the female cultivator's cultivation was a bit strange. She seemed to be a Tao essence holy emperor, but she also didn't seem to be one. Ning Qing didn't need to ask to guess that the quarrel between the 3 was about the true Yang heart. What puzzled Ning Qing was that if the woman was a Tao essence holy emperor, why would she quarrel with 2 Tao transformation holy emperors even if she had just advanced and her Tao runes weren't stable? Couldn't this woman beat 2 late-stage Tao transformation cultivators? Ning Qing didn't believe that everyone was like him and could challenge Tao essence. When the 3 of them saw Ning Qing and the blue-robed cultivator coming over, they subconsciously stopped quarreling and stared at the 2 of them with a frown. Are you also here for the true Yang heart? A late-stage Tao transformation man with thick lips glanced coldly at Ning Qing and the blue-robed cultivator. I don't know about others, but I really did come for the true Yang heart. Although the blue-robed cultivator answered, his mind was on the woman. He didn't fear Tao actualization divine emperor, but this woman was suspected to be Tao essence divine emperor. Even though she just reached Tao essence divine emperor, she wasn't someone he could fight. The other bald man chuckled. I told you to finish the discussion as soon as possible. Now, there are 2 more. There is only 1 true Yang heart, and 5 people are fighting over it. How should we distribute it? You 2 get out of the way. The true Yang heart isn't for the 2 of you to divide. The Tao essence woman's imposing aura suddenly pressed down on Ning Qing and the blue-robed cultivator with an ice-cold tone. The blue-robed cultivator's expression changed slightly. He took a few steps back but didn't leave. Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort flashed with lightning, and the imposing aura rushing towards him was blown away by the lightning. Ning Qing then caught a faint aura. Ning Qing stared at the woman, who he thought was a Tao essence divine emperor, in amazement. After a while, he asked, Are you a primordial essence divine emperor? Since you know, then get out of here. The woman's voice turned even colder, and her imposing aura once again surged out. Ning Qing raised his hand, and the void cold light spear appeared in his hand. Even if you are a Tao integration divine emperor, I will still take this true Yang heart. If you dare to suppress me with your imposing aura again, don't blame me for blasting you into pieces. As he spoke, the imposing aura that swept towards Ning Qing dissipated in the void cold light spear. The reason why Ning Qing dared to speak like this was because he vaguely felt that this woman was undergoing her first heaven's blight, primordial essence blight. This woman's imposing aura contained a faint aura of decay. At the same time, Ning Qing even saw some age spots on the woman's face. Not only that, but Ning Qing also vaguely saw a large piece of skin on the woman's neck. Even her hair was sparse. There were no Tao runes around her, and she didn't have the imposing aura of a primordial essence expert. If the woman hadn't waved her hand in anger, Ning Qing wouldn't have been able to see the side of her neck that she was covering. It was as if she had been buried in the ground for a long time and had just been dug out. The woman in black exuded an aura of decay. If this woman hadn't used her imposing aura to suppress him, he wouldn't have been able to see it. But now that this woman used her imposing aura to suppress him, he naturally guessed it. No wonder these 2 Tao transformation divine emperors didn't leave and dared to compete with a primordial essence woman for the true Yang heart. If it was any other Tao transformation divine emperor, they would also try their luck. Primordial essence divine emperors were powerful, but the vast universe was vast. If you offended a primordial essence divine emperor, you would have many places to hide. The woman in black's hands trembled in anger. She was a primordial essence divine emperor, but she was being threatened by a Tao transformation divine emperor. She regretted coming a step too late. She didn't expect her first heaven's blight to come so quickly and so ferociously. In fact, she was the first person to come here. The 2 Tao transformation divine emperors who came later sensed her first heaven's blight and didn't want to leave. Now, Two more Tao transformation divine emperors had also sensed her first heaven's blight. This was her first time experiencing heaven's blight. She didn't expect that once she released her aura, the aura of decay would be so obvious. If she had known, she wouldn't have used her imposing aura to suppress Ning Cheng and the blue-robed cultivator. After Ning Cheng finished this sentence, the scene immediately quietened down. Under an ice bag a few hundred meters away from the five of them, the aura of the true young heart could be sensed. Everyone present knew that the true young heart was under that ice bag. Before, there were only 3 people. The 2 Tao transformation divine emperors could bargain with the woman in black. But now that the woman in black exposed her severe decay aura, and there were 2 more people, the 5 of them were in a stalemate. No one was willing to make the first move. You name your conditions, I'll give you something, then you get out of the way. I'm determined to obtain this true yang core. Whoever dares to snatch the true yang heart from me, once I pass my first heaven's blight, I'll kill him first, the woman in black said in a cold tone. The 5 of them ignored the woman in black's words. Who didn't want the true yang heart? Once you pass your first heaven's blight, when would it be? Spatial fluctuations came again, and the 5's expressions changed slightly. Everyone knew that someone else had come. The blue-robed cultivator's figure flashed and he actually started to snatch it. Since the blue-robed cultivator started, the others naturally wouldn't wait and rushed towards the ice bag. The balance was broken. Ning Cheng didn't use his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Now was not the time. The ice bag's laws were very strong. If he wanted to break it and take away the true yang heart, he wouldn't be able to do it even if he arrived first. He put away the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Taking out the everlasting Blue Thunder City would definitely affect his speed when he escaped. Rumble. The 5 people's spirit essence landed on the ice bag at the same time. Each person's spirit essence contained their own spirit sense imprint. Crack. The ice bag was torn into pieces under the combined attacks of the 5 people, and a dazzling round stone the size of an adult's fist appeared. True Yang Heart. Everyone's eyes were filled with passion as they crazily swept their spirit sense, wanting to take away the true Yang Heart. At the same time that the true Yang Heart was revealed, 3 more figures appeared in front of him. The 3 of them saw the exposed true Yang Heart and didn't even bother to say a word. They just rushed up to snatch it. Ning Cheng didn't even fear Tao Essence Divine Emperors, so how could he fear a Primordial Essence Divine Emperor and a few Tao Actualization Divine Emperors? His spirit sense surged out and instantly condensed into a dark consciousness storm. The dark consciousness storm wrapped around the true Yang Heart, and the dark nether spirit devourer swept out at the same time, directly swallowing the other people's spirit sense towards the true Yang Heart. At this time, how could Ning Cheng show any mercy? The moment Ning Cheng swallowed the rest of the spirit sense and the dark consciousness storm swept away the true Yang Heart, several powerful spirit essence slammed into Ning Cheng's body. In order to keep the true Yang Heart, Ning Cheng could only resist. The sound of bones breaking rang out, followed by several blood arrows. The true Yang Heart, which had been swept away by Ning Cheng's dark consciousness storm vortex, had disappeared. The next moment, under the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, Ning Cheng disappeared without a trace. This person actually cultivated a vicious spiritual consciousness devouring cultivation method. Such a scum, if we don't kill him, there would be no justice. The people who came later saw Ning Cheng swallowing the spirit sense and left. They left behind a reason before chasing after him. This reason was very powerful. It wasn't a grand one, but a threat. In other words, Ning Cheng cultivated a vicious cultivation method that could devour spiritual consciousness. If someone with a weak sea of consciousness followed him, Ning Cheng would most likely destroy their sea of consciousness. Except for the primordial chaos woman who was experiencing her first Deva's blight, no one gave up on chasing Ning Cheng because of this sentence. Ning Cheng was seriously injured, so who would want to let go of such an opportunity? Although these people were fast, they still couldn't match up to Ning Cheng's twin wings of heavenly essence in the ice cave. What's more, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness grew stronger, and his speed kept increasing. He was indeed injured, but as a primordial Dao Pill saint and a body-forging expert, this injury couldn't affect his speed. When Ning Cheng rushed out of the ice cave and instantly disappeared, only the blue-robed cultivator was still chasing him. Ning Cheng had thrown the others into the ice cave and hadn't come out yet. The blue-robed cultivator didn't have Ning Cheng's twin wings of the heavenly clouds, but he had a pair of wind wheels under his feet. His speed wasn't any slower than Ning Cheng's. In fact, it was slightly faster. Fortunately, Ning Cheng had fled in front, while he chased after him from behind. This slight gap prevented him from catching up to Ning Cheng. Similarly, Ning Cheng couldn't shake off the other party. Ning Cheng sighed. There really were many capable people in this world. The other party was only at the late-stage Dao transformation realm, but without the starry sky wheel, the other party's speed wasn't any slower than his. If he added a little flame to the wind wheels, Ning Cheng would immediately think of the pair of wind-fire wheels. Chapter 1106. Both of them moved extremely fast. The blue-robed man followed Ning Cheng like a maggot in a tarsal bone. Even after a few days, Ning Cheng still could not shake him off. When Ning Cheng saw a patch of black mud, he realized that he had returned to the Black Mud Canyon. Apart from the black mud, there was not a single person in the Black Mud Canyon. The place that was once full of God's spiritual veins now looked a little quiet. Ning Cheng stopped. Although he could not bring out the starry sky wheel in the Jiaoyang mountain, he still had an advantage in speed. Since the blue-robed man could follow him so closely, it was hard to guarantee that he could shake off the other party with the starry sky wheel after leaving the Jiaoyang mountain. In case he could not shake off the other party after leaving the Jiaoyang mountain, maybe the news of him obtaining the true Yang heart would have already spread. At that time, the blue-robed man would not be the only one chasing him. You should have stopped long ago. If you leave the Jiaoyang mountain, you won't even be able to escape 1,000,000 miles away. Seeing Ning Cheng stop, the blue-robed man sneered and stopped in front of Ning Cheng. Whether it was his words or his actions, they all exuded a strong sense of confidence. It seemed that as long as Ning Cheng stopped, he would never be able to leave. The wind wheel under the blue-robed man's feet still remained. Instead, a giant dipper-shaped weapon suddenly appeared above his head. The giant dipper was engraved with patterns of mountains and rivers, which exuded a powerful aura of Dao charm. It was as grand as the rivers and mountains diagram. At a glance, Ning Cheng knew that this thing was not any weaker than his everlasting Blue Thunder City. In fact, it was far stronger than the void cold light spear he refined. The everlasting Blue Thunder City did not have an artifact spirit, so it obviously could not compare to the other party's mountain river giant dipper. Ning Cheng did not speak. He raised his hand, and the void cold light spear appeared in it. As for the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he did not bring it out. He did not need to be so nervous when dealing with a late-stage Dao transformation cultivator. This blue-robed man did not put him in his eyes. In fact, Ning Cheng also did not put the other party in his eyes. Before I set foot on the sun-moon wind wheels, it was normal for you not to recognize me. I believe that after I set foot on the sun-moon wind wheels, you should have recognized me, right? You know who I am, yet you still dare to escape. You must have some guts. The blue-robed man sneered. Ning Cheng almost laughed out loud. Who was this person? Why did he have such a strong sense of superiority? Hand over the true Yang heart, and I won't let you suffer a loss. I'll give you a top-grade spiritual vein and 50 million spirit crystals. The blue-robed man didn't give Ning Cheng a chance to speak. Ning Cheng was speechless as he spoke. I'm really sorry, I really don't know who you are. The true Yang heart was snatched by me, I do not intend to sell it. Even if he wanted to sell it, 50 million God crystals and a supreme-grade God spiritual vein wouldn't be enough to buy his true Yang heart. The blue-robed man revealed an evil smile. Good, interesting indeed. You didn't disappoint me. When he said the last word, the mountain river dipper above his head distorted in the void, instantly locking up the surrounding space. A whirlpool-like law power directly surrounded Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng's domain instantly melted under this law power. This powerful vortex seemed as if it wanted to sweep Ning Cheng away from the void and send him into the mountain river dipper. Not only that, but the Tao charm laws emanating from the mountain and river dipper also wrapped around Ning Cheng, making him unable to move at all. No wonder this blue-robed man spoke so arrogantly. This blue-robed man did have some means. A late-stage Tao transformation Holy Emperor could grind away Ning Cheng's domain without even bringing out his weapon. Whether it was because of his weapon or not, this guy was very strong. Ning Cheng, who was bound by the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper, didn't move. Instead, the law aura automatically spread out like ripples. The Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper that bound Ning Cheng were like thin ice. Ning Cheng's body shook and tore it apart. The Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper grew weaker and weaker. Law-breaking spirit technique. The blue-robed man obviously wasn't an ignorant person. He saw Ning Cheng easily break free from the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper before the vortex completely fell on him. Moreover, he even weakened the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper, allowing him to break free without any danger. This was a law-breaking spirit technique. It could break and weaken the laws of the surrounding space, weakening the opponent's spirit technique while not affecting one's own spirit technique. In fact, it could even strengthen one's own spirit technique. Sure enough, as soon as the blue-robed man saw Ning Cheng break free from the mountain and river dipper's law, a long spear that tore through the void blasted over. The domain space around him also shattered under the opponent's long spear. The long spear left no trace as it rolled up spear patterns. The blue-robed man panicked and no longer cared about dealing with Ning Cheng. The mountain and river dipper turned into a mountain and river barrier in front of him. Since his debut, this was the first time he had faced someone with a lower cultivation level than him in such a difficult situation. Under normal circumstances, as long as he brought out the mountain and river dipper, the Tao charm laws would bind the opponent. Even if the opponent was a perfected Tao transformation cultivator, they could only watch helplessly as his mountain and river dipper swept them away. But now, not only did the opponent not let his mountain and river dipper finish speaking, but he also used his long spear to talk to him. Boom! The violent divine essence and nomological power collided. The spear patterns and the Tao charm laws of the mountain and river dipper collapsed, creating a huge pit in the black mud below. The Tao charm of the mountain and river dipper seemed to disperse in one go, and Ning Cheng's spear patterns also turned into nothingness at this moment. An ice-cold aura permeated the blue-robed man's body, causing him to shiver. The mist formed by the ice-cold aura instantly wrapped him in a thin layer of ice. Fortunately, the mountain and river dipper was too powerful. It directly blasted away Ning Cheng's void cold light spear, and the mountain and river Tao charm aura also shattered the thin layer of ice. The blue-robed man finally recovered and raised his hand to swallow an elixir pill. At this moment, he understood that Ning Cheng was very strong. While swallowing the elixir pill, the endless Tao charm aura permeated the mountain and river dipper. No matter how strong the opponent was, he didn't believe that the mountain and river dipper couldn't take away an early-stage Tao transformation cultivator. Ning Cheng marveled at the power of the opponent's mountain and river dipper when he suddenly saw the mountain and river dipper's vortex nomological power disappear. A bright three-dimensional painting of mountains and rivers appeared in front of him. At this moment, the mountain and river dipper's nomological power and Tao charm aura became even more majestic. The endless mountain and river Tao charm swept through the space above the black mud and struck Ning Cheng's mind like a morning bell and evening drum. Whether it was the subjective consciousness or the objective space, it urged Ning Cheng to take a step forward and enter the middle of the mountain and river dipper. Below the mountain and river dipper, the blue-robed man's face turned pale and his body trembled. He finally felt Ning Cheng's strength. Ning Cheng's spiritual sense wasn't something a Tao transformation divine emperor should have. Even a Tao essence divine emperor's spiritual sense might not be stronger than the other parties. This was the first time he had used the mountain and river dipper to take someone in. As long as he couldn't affect the opponent for even a moment, he would definitely suffer a backlash. The blue-robed man finally remembered his father's words. The mountain and river dipper is a treasure, but your cultivation is too low. Your spiritual sense can't completely control the mountain and river dipper. You're not allowed to use this thing against the enemy before reaching Tao Essence Realm. Otherwise, you'll suffer. He was shocked in his heart as to how Ning Qing cultivated his spiritual consciousness. Not only was it powerful, but it also had a sharp edge to it, but it was also so majestic. PFFF. The blue-robed man finally couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face turned even paler. He knew that he had to leave. Otherwise, not to mention taking away his opponent, he might even die here. Ning Qing was surrounded by the endless mountain and river Tao charm. If his spiritual sense was slightly weaker, he would have already entered the mountain and river dipper. As he resisted the mountain river dipper's mountain river rhythm, he quickly noticed that the mountain river dipper's mountain river rhythm was weakening. It seemed that the other party's spiritual sense was far inferior to his. The reason why the other party could resist him until now was mainly because of this mountain and river dipper. It was a good treasure, but it was a waste for this blue-robed man to use it. This blue-robed man couldn't use the mountain and river dipper's power at all. When Ning Qing turned the situation around, he saw the blue-robed man take out another talisman. Ning Qing felt anxious. This guy was simply too rich. He could take out a talisman at any time. Once this guy escaped, he wouldn't be able to keep the mountain and river dipper. Ning Qing didn't think about it anymore. A blue stone arch bridge appeared directly under his feet. Ning Qing only took one step at the bridgehead before he landed in the center of the bridge. A roaring yellow river also began to roll around Ning Qing's body. It was as if a yellow dragon was angry. The blue-robed man's talisman had just activated. He looked at the roaring yellow river in shock. His eyes were filled with shock as he murmured, "This is the fourth Yellow Springs Bridge." Just as his voice fell, the yellow river around Ning Qing's body swept away the mountain and river dipper, bringing it directly into the yellow river. At the same time, the blue-robed man's talisman also brought out a ray of light that swept him away. Ning Qing secretly felt that it was a pity. If this person had been even a breath later, this person wouldn't have been able to escape. Ning Qing put away the Yellow Springs Bridge. At the same time, Ning Qing also placed a restriction on the mountain and river dipper before throwing it into the mysterious yellow bead. When he had the time, he would slowly refine this thing. Ning Qing also did not stop. He turned around and stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. In an instant, he disappeared from above the black mud. The rolling black mud trembled because of the fight between the two people. Although the two people had left, the black mud had not completely calmed down. A red figure suddenly floated up from the middle of the rolling black mud. He did not even have a single drop of black mud on his body. The red figure stared at the direction where Ning Qing disappeared and murmured, "The fourth Yellow Springs Bridge of the Seven Bridges Spiritual Techniques." It even took away the Boundless Palace's Foam Clan's mountain and river dipper. Where did this young man come from? How could he be so strong? Ning Qing and the blue-robed man fought above the black mud. They did not know that there was someone else below the black mud. Not only that, but they also saw their fight. Even if they knew about it, Ning Qing had no way to care about it. No matter who the blue-robed man was, Ning Qing knew that the other party's background was not small. After rushing out of the Jiaoyang mountain, Ning Qing immediately brought out the starry sky wheel and rushed out. Although the Jiaoyang mountain had many good things, it was not suitable for him to stay here. It was enough for him to obtain the true Yang heart. Not to mention that in addition to the true Yang heart, he also obtained the mountain and river dipper. For a long time, the mountain and river dipper was probably the most valuable of his spoils. Chapter 1107. After Ning Qing left the Jiaoyang mountain, the news of another true Yang heart appearing in the Jiaoyang mountain's 9 primordial ice cave had already spread. There were too many treasures in the Jiaoyang mountain. Therefore, the news of a true Yang heart appearing only lasted for a while before it was replaced by other topics. Luo-yi Heaven Void City, the place where Ning Qing and Mang Yong decided to join forces. Ning Qing disguised himself as a black-faced, long-haired rogue cultivator and came here again. He didn't go far. If not for the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, Ning Cheng would have already left Luo-Yi Heaven Void City and returned to the Grand Essence Realm to enter the 4 Grand Starry Skies from the Grand Essence Realm. With the appearance of the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, Ning Cheng didn't want to miss this opportunity. He didn't want to find Mang Yong right now. He had just obtained the true Yang heart, so he had to refine it first. In case Mang Yong advanced to the Tao origin realm, he would have to be more careful. Mang Yong seemed like a good person, but it was better to be careful about this kind of deep cooperation. The Wondrous Wood rest stop wasn't a big rest stop in Luo-Yi Heaven Void City. Of course, it wasn't a small rest stop either. Ning Cheng decided to stay in the Wondrous Wood rest stop. Although the mysterious yellow bead wouldn't expose any aura, Ning Cheng still put up one restriction after another in the rest stop room. At the same time, he let Chasing Bull stand guard outside. Entering the mysterious yellow bead, Ning Cheng immediately took out the true Yang heart. For the sake of this true Yang core, he had spent more than 10 years in total. The true Yang heart looked like a ruby and exuded a flame-like aura of Tao charm. As soon as the true Yang heart came out, the celestial river flame and the nameless flame started to beat violently. Would this true Yang heart evolve for the celestial river flame or the nameless flame? Ning Cheng felt a little embarrassed. The celestial river flame had been with him the longest, and the celestial river flame had a higher grade than the nameless flame. Letting the celestial river flame evolve first was a natural thing to do. However, he could obtain the true Yang heart thanks to the nameless flame. The true Yang heart gave the nameless flame a message, but it didn't give the celestial river flame any information. Ning Cheng raised his hand and brought out the nameless flame. Looking at the pure white flame dancing in his palm, he spoke with an apologetic tone, "Nameless, this time I will let Celestial River advance first. With the advancement of the Celestial River spear, my strength would also increase by a lot. At the same time, refining that Nirvana spear would also become a lot easier. Don't worry, I will not disappoint you in the future. I will also find you a true Yang core. There's also a 10,000 needles lake in the Jiao Yang mountain. Once my cultivation level increases, I'll go there to take a look. Besides, you haven't reached the peak of divine flame yet. There will always be a chance." After Ning Cheng finished speaking, the nameless flame stopped beating. However, Ning Cheng could still feel that the nameless flame's mood was a little down. Advancing to the sacred flame stage was not only the goal of every cultivator with a flame, it was also the goal of every flame. Putting away the nameless flame, Ning Cheng brought out the celestial river flame that looked like a vast starry sky. As soon as he brought out the celestial river flame, Ning Cheng immediately caught a strand of extremely excited thoughts. Then, the celestial river flame, just like a celestial river pouring down, directly swept away the true Yang core in Ning Cheng's hand. Waves of flame law ripples surged out, and the scorching light illuminated almost half of the world of heaven and earth. The terrifying temperature made Ning Cheng feel like he was losing control. The fire-attributed Tao charm laws within the flame's radiance formed a circle around Ning Cheng, forming a lake of fire around him. Ning Cheng's spiritual sense could vaguely feel the celestial river flame growing stronger and stronger. Not knowing for how long, the horrifying and scorching law flame ripples slowly melted, and a purple flame appeared in Ning Cheng's palm. Ning Cheng's consciousness fell on the purple flame, and the vast and boundless universe of flames flooded over. It felt as if as long as he issued a command, this flame could turn the entire universe into ashes. Ning Cheng knew that it was an illusion, but in any case, his celestial river flame had successfully advanced to the sacred flame stage. "Master, I finally succeeded in advancing to the sacred flame stage." The celestial river flame's excited and crisp voice sounded like the first cry of a young oriole. Ning Cheng felt overjoyed and didn't care what the celestial river flame called him. He directly grabbed the Nirvana spear and said, "I'll give you a name in the future. Let's call it Star." He named it Star because after the celestial river flame advanced to the sacred flame stage, Ning Cheng felt the power of the celestial river flame. It felt as if it could burn the entire universe. A single spark could start a prairie fire. Maybe in the future, the celestial river flame could really burn the entire universe. Of course, this was under his command. Yes, Master. I'll be called Star from now on. The celestial river flame grew even more excited. Choosing its master was the right choice. How long had it been? It had already advanced to the sacred flame stage, and in the future, it might even become the premier flame in the vast starry sky. In addition to excitement, it also felt proud in its heart. It couldn't help but feel proud of itself. Which fire seed had such foresight? When it was a seed, it had chosen Ning Cheng, a rogue cultivator who hadn't even reached the true condensation realm. This kind of foresight was simply the first in the world. As for the fact that it had chosen Ning Cheng because of the mysterious yellow aura around Ning Cheng, it had long since forgotten about it. When Ning Cheng first obtained the Nirvana spear, it was covered in rust. Later, Ning Cheng scraped off some of the rust on the outside, making it look like an ordinary iron rod. However, this iron rod was something that Ning Cheng couldn't melt or refine. Even after the celestial river flame advanced to the spirit flame stage, it still couldn't melt this iron rod. Now that the celestial river flame had advanced to the sacred flame stage, if it still couldn't melt this iron rod, Ning Cheng decided to give up. The celestial river flame had failed to melt the Nirvana spear several times, which made it even more annoyed. Now that it had advanced to the sacred flame stage, and its master had taken out the Nirvana spear, it was clear that he wanted it to try again. But before Ning Cheng could speak, the celestial river flame swept over and wrapped around the Nirvana spear after receiving its name. Chi-chi, a sizzling sound rang out, and the Nirvana spear, which couldn't be melted, started to emit sizzling sounds under the influence of the celestial river flame. A few minutes later, the outer layer of the Nirvana spear melted away, revealing the black spear body. Wait! Ning Cheng immediately stopped the celestial river flame when he saw the black spear body. He raised his hand and grabbed the black spear body. Although it was just an iron-like spear body, it felt as heavy as a planet. Under the strong contrast of weight, Ning Cheng almost couldn't hold it. Ning Cheng sucked in a breath of cold air. He had advanced to the Tao Transformation Holy Emperor realm. In other words, if he hadn't reached Tao Confirming realm, he wouldn't have been able to pick up this black iron rod at all. The celestial river flame had melted away the outermost layer of restrictions on the Nirvana spear, which allowed ordinary people to pick up the spear. But now that the celestial river flame had melted away the restriction, it seemed that the black iron rod had regained its original weight. So powerful, Ning Cheng looked at the black iron rod in his hand, which exuded a primal chaos aura, and felt shocked. What he meant by powerful was not only the Nirvana spear's outer restrictions, but also the outer layer of restrictions. It was a trivial matter that the spirit flame couldn't burn it. Moreover, with his attainments in the Tao of arrays and restrictions, he couldn't see any clues. Who was able to set up this kind of restriction? He couldn't even imagine it. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the black iron rod in his hand, and his spiritual consciousness slowly seeped into it. His spiritual consciousness could feel thousands of primal chaos auras on the surface of the black iron rod. I know what this material is. Ning Cheng's eyes lit up, and his mind turned even more excited. Master, what is this? I only feel that it's very powerful, but I believe that I can melt this iron rod and even refine it into a weapon. Xingxing quickly asked. After asking, it quickly expressed that it was very powerful. There was only one true Yang heart, and the master had given it to it after weighing the pros and cons. If it had advanced to the sacred flame and still had no ability, the master would have been very disappointed. Ning Cheng's voice trembled with excitement. I'm sure that this is the heaven-opening Iron Mother. It has a primal chaos aura that can split the heavens and the earth, and also has a powerful Law Tao charm. If you want to use the heaven-opening Iron Mother to refine a weapon, the first step is not to melt it with flames, but to refine this Iron Mother first, and then refine it into an artifact. After saying that, Ning Cheng felt even more excited. Originally, he needed Twilight Sand, Heaven-Opening Iron Mother, and 5 elements Spirit Water to craft the Spirit-Severing Spear. He didn't expect that by chance, he would have already obtained the Heaven-Opening Iron Mother. But now, To refine the spirit-severing spear, he only needed the 5 elements spirit water. Only one auxiliary material was missing, so Ningqing decided to try his luck. The last half of the wood origin bead was with Tian Muan, and he wanted to see it. If he could get it, he would do everything in his power to find the breath soil. With the wood origin group and the breath soil, his mysterious yellow bead could not only be perfected, but it could also produce the 5 elements spirit water. Instead of letting the celestial river flame continue to refine the heaven-opening iron mother, Ningqing decided to refine this iron while looking for the breath soil. Putting away the heaven-opening iron mother, Ningqing calmed down for a while before taking out the mountain river dipper. The mountain river dipper was a good thing. Ningqing had already realized it when he fought against the blue-robed man. If he refined the mountain river dipper, it would provide him with a powerful boost. 5 days later, Ningqing's face turned gloomy as he sealed the mountain river dipper even more tightly. He couldn't refine the mountain river dipper because the dipper contained an artifact spirit. Not only did the artifact spirit not allow him to refine the mountain river dipper, but it also wanted to destroy his sea of consciousness while he was refining the mountain river dipper. If he wanted to refine the mountain river dipper safely, the easiest way was to reach the Tao Essence Holy Emperor realm. There was also another way, and that was to find a way to kill the blue-robed man. Ningqing did not want to destroy a rare treasure like the mountain and river bucket. In fact, even if he wanted to destroy it, it would not be a simple matter. Moreover, he had to rely on the celestial river dipper, which had just evolved into a sacred flame. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to destroy it even if he wanted to. After putting away the mountain river dipper, Ningqing left the mysterious yellow bead. He was currently at the early stage Tao transformation realm. If he wanted to cultivate, he would need a lot of cultivation resources. Moreover, he was about to reach the second step of Tao confirming realm, and the mysterious yellow bead had yet to be completely perfected. Cultivating in the mysterious yellow bead would not be appropriate. After discussing the Tao with Nianyan, he also gained some insights in his heart. It would be best if he perfected the mysterious yellow bead's world laws, rather than letting the mysterious yellow bead perfect his grand Tao laws. If he cultivated in the mysterious yellow bead, it would only help the mysterious yellow bead perfect his grand Tao laws. Ningqing decided to contact Mang Yong. But when he walked out of the rest stop, he immediately felt that something was wrong in Luo Yi's Heaven Void City. Chapter 1108. The number of people on the streets suddenly increased, and there were more experts than before he went into seclusion. Primordial Tao Divine Emperors and Primordial Chaos Divine Emperors were also coming and going. The major commercial houses became even more lively, and Ningqing found that the advertisements for the auction were also coming one after another. The only impression Ningqing had was that many experts came here to buy things. Ningqing knew that although this place was bustling, it was not a place with treasures everywhere. If he really wanted to buy all kinds of rare treasures, he might as well wait in the Immortal Falling Boat Void City. At least, the Immortal Falling Boat Void City was the direct export point of the Jiaoyang Mountain. Why would he come to the Luo Yi Heaven Void City? Ningqing thought about it and took out his communication pearl to send a message to Mang Yong. Ningqing did not receive a reply from Mang Yong. In just half an hour, Mang Yong arrived at the Strangewood Rest. "Ha, Brother Ning, I knew you would be fine. I didn't expect you to return to the Luo Yi Heaven Void City." Mang Yong's enthusiastic voice came from afar. Even though Ningqing's appearance was completely different from the last time, Mang Yong still recognized him at first glance. The people who snatched the God Spirit veins in the Black Clay Canyon are all experts. My cultivation level is too low, so I was afraid that I would die there. Although I want good things, I have to do my best. I can't compare to Brother Mang. Ningqing chuckled and cupped his fists. He could see that Mang Yong's cultivation level was deeper than 2 or 3 years ago. Mang Yong quickly waved his hand. I was just lucky to snatch 1 or 2 God Spirit veins. Brother Ning, let's go somewhere else to talk in detail. However, I don't have time to go to the Jiaoyang Mountain recently. After half an hour, Ningqing and Mang Yong sat in a private room of a rest stop. Mang Yong seemed to have his ways in the Luo Yi Heaven Void City. There were so many cultivators here, but he still found a private room very quickly. Brother Mang, because I offended a few experts, I had to disguise myself. Please forgive me. Ning Qing saw that Mang Yong did not mention his disguise, so he simply said it. That's right. I often disguise myself to escape, Mang Yong said without a care. Ning Qing hurriedly said, Brother Mang, I'm afraid that it would be difficult to reach the primordial Tao and cross the Jiao-Yang mountain to find traces of third-step experts. With Brother Mang's talent and great luck, I think it will take a few years to prove the Tao primordial Tao, and I will need even more time. Because of my lack of cultivation resources and the fact that there are too many experts on Jiao-Yang mountain, it is not suitable for me to search for treasures. Therefore, I don't have anything to do recently. I don't know if Brother Mang can tell me where the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit is. I want to try my luck there. Otherwise, I would really have nowhere to go and could only wander the void. Ning Qing knew that Mang Yong wouldn't tell him about the location of the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit so easily. Therefore, he said those words to Mang Yong. If you don't tell me about the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, then I won't bother to cooperate with you anymore. Mang Yong showed a smile, I will definitely help you find the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. You don't have to worry about it. It's very complicated to express the location on a jade slip. I'll take you there when the time comes. But I want to tell you another thing now. Do you know why so many experts have come to Luo Yi's Heaven Void City recently? Ning Qing wanted to pressure him a bit more. But after hearing Mang Yong's words, he temporarily put down the matter of the artifact spirit and asked in doubt, what's the reason? The Limitless Palace's senior Feng Xian comprehended the Supreme Grand Tao and decided to hold a Tao discussion forum in the Five Realms Palace. He also invited experts from all over the world as guests. Mang Yong spoke with excitement. Limitless Palace's Feng Xian. The Supreme Grand Tao is the third step of Tao confirming? Ning Qing asked. What kind of place was the Limitless Palace? As for who Feng Xian was, he really didn't know. Mang Yong looked at Ning Qing for a while before asking, of course, it's not the third step. But Brother Ning, don't tell me you don't even know about the Limitless Palace and Senior Feng Xian? Ning Qing showed an awkward smile, I really don't know. Mang Yong explained with a defeated look on his face, Senior Feng Xian is the Limitless Palace's palace master. He has a nickname called Limitless Feng Xian. It means that his strength has already surpassed most of the powerhouses in the surrounding boundaries. There is also another meaning, that is, Feng Xian is very popular and has made friends with almost all the heroes and powerhouses from all over the world. His friends are not limited by the boundaries, and there is no distinction between good and bad character. As long as one has the ability, one can become his friend. Therefore, many people feel proud to be friends with Feng Xian, because if you become a friend of Feng Xian, it shows that you have the ability. So the Limitless Palace is very strong. Ning Qing also admired this kind of people who made friends with the vast starry sky. It was difficult for a person to cultivate to a certain level, and few powerhouses would spend a lot of time and energy to make friends from all over the world. Mang Yong's eyes showed a yearning look, very strong, and once something happens, as long as Feng Xian calls out, all the powerhouses from all over the world will come to help. If I had such strength, I wouldn't. Mang Yong didn't continue, but Ning Qing guessed that Mang Yong might have offended someone, which caused him to flee. Are you planning to go there too? Ning Qing asked. Of course, in addition to waiting for you, I also want to go to the Limitless Palace to meet Senior Feng Xian and listen to Feng Xian's Tao discussion. Did you see the many powerhouses in Luo Yi Tian's Void City? They all came here to buy gifts and then go to the Limitless Palace. Because there is a teleportation array in Luo Yi Tian that leads directly to the outside of the Limitless Palace. Mang Yong smiled. Ning Qing said with some speechlessness, with so many people going there must be a lot of people who didn't even have a chance to talk to Feng Xian, right? Did these people go there just to listen to the Tao? Does that mean Feng Xian's Tao is very strong? Mang Yong nodded solemnly. When it comes to Tao discussion, Feng Xian's Tao discussion can definitely attract any primordial chaos holy emperor to listen. I haven't heard Senior Feng Xian's Tao discussion, but I've heard others talk about it. Even the Tao discussion he talked about has benefited me a lot. If I go there to listen in person, how many benefits would I get? I heard that this time, Feng Xian comprehended some heaven and earth Tao charm of the third step and wanted to share it with others. Moreover, this is just one of them. Every time Feng Xian discusses the Tao, he will give away the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit for free. As long as you go to the Limitless Palace, everyone will get one. Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit? Ning Qing asked in a surprised voice. As a primordial Tao pill saint who had seen the universe vegetation, Ning Qing naturally knew what a Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit was. The Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit wasn't a Tao fruit, but it wasn't any less valuable than any Tao fruit below the primordial Tao realm. It could even be comparable to many primordial Tao fruits because primordial chaos holy emperors could use the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit. It was a Tao fruit for spirit technique comprehension. No matter what spirit technique you comprehended or cultivated, as long as your spirit technique was a law spirit technique, taking the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit would yield twice the results with half the effort. The Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit was rarely seen, but Ning Qing didn't expect the Limitless Palace to produce it. Only Feng Xian of the Limitless Palace has such boldness. Therefore, every time he discusses the Tao, it is when the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit ripens. Every time, he would give away hundreds of thousands of Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit, which happens to be the most abundant divine fruit in the Limitless Palace. Mang Yong explained with admiration in his eyes. With so many people in the Luo-E Heaven Void City preparing gifts to go to the Limitless Palace, it showed how attractive the Limitless Palace's Feng Xian's Tao discussion was. Having said that, although Feng Xian took out a lot of Mahakasyapa heavenly fruits, he also got a lot of good things. It wasn't a loss. Maybe Feng Xian earned more. These people wanted to listen to Feng Xian's Tao discussion and taste the Mahakasyapa heavenly fruit. Naturally, they wouldn't take out 2 weak gifts. How long until the Limitless Palace's Tao discussion? Ning Qing looked at Mang Yong's expression and knew that Mang Yong would definitely go. Since Mang Yong wanted to go to the Limitless Palace, he could only follow. As for the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit, he wouldn't ask about it for the time being. Before Mang Yong returned from the Limitless Palace, he definitely wouldn't say anything about it. There's still half a year left. During this time, more and more people will come to the Limitless Palace. We'll wait here. When the time comes, you can also prepare a gift. Let's go to the Limitless Palace to listen to the Tao discussion. Mang Yong replied. Ning Qing sighed and said, it looks like I can only wait here for half a year. I'm also planning to find a place to cultivate. Mang Yong patted Ning Cheng's shoulder. Brother Ning, you don't have to worry. You can't improve your cultivation in half a year. Why don't we go take a look at the auction? Ning Qing waved his hand. Brother Mang, you can go by yourself. I'll go cultivate. My strength is too low. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten nothing in the Jiaoyang Mountains Black Clay Canyon. Mang Yong watched Ning Qing leave with a slight frown. He always felt that although Ning Qing wasn't as good as him, he wasn't too weak. Since he got slapped in the face, he had always been cautious and never did anything self-righteous. Half a year passed by in a hurry. Ning Qing didn't leave the rest stop and went into seclusion to study the Tao of crafting. Now that the celestial river flame had evolved into a sacred flame, he also had to prepare for crafting a good fortune spirit artifact. During this free time, he naturally wanted to study the Tao of crafting. Studying the Tao of crafting for half a year was too short for Ning Qing. It reminded Ning Qing of the ancient mysterious clan's tree ring in the Grand Essence Sea. If he could study the Tao of crafting for half a year under the tree ring, how much time would he save? Thinking of the tree ring, Ning Qing suddenly had an idea. If he asked the ancient mysterious clan for a branch of the tree ring, could he plant another tree ring in the mysterious yellow bead? Thinking of this, Ning Qing found it difficult to calm down. The ancient mysterious clan had always treated him well. Moreover, he was also a primordial Tao pill saint. Plus, he had many good things on him. It wasn't impossible for him to ask the ancient mysterious clan for a branch. The restriction at the door activated, forcing Ning Cheng to suppress his thoughts. He decided to go to the ancient mysterious clan as soon as he returned to the Grand Essence realm. Opening the restriction, Mang Yong arrived at the door. "Brother Ning, we can go now." He came to ask Ning Cheng to go to the Boundless Realm Palace. Chapter 1109. There were a lot of people heading to the Boundless Palace, and no one was fighting for the transmission slot. Since Ning Cheng entered the Starry Sky to cultivate, it was the first time he saw such a polite and modest reception. It seemed that the people here had more or less a kinship with the Boundless Palace because of this. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Feng Xian was truly powerful. These people were courteous to him because of Feng Xian. If someone fought on the way to Feng Xian's Dao Right, that person would probably feel embarrassed to go to the Boundless Palace's Dao Right. Luo Yi's Heaven Void City's transmission array directly sent Ning Cheng and the others to a huge public square outside the Boundless Palace. When Ning Cheng and Mang Yong walked out of the transmission array and arrived at the public square, tens of thousands of cultivators had already gathered there. Despite the tens of thousands of cultivators in the public square, it still looked empty. The public square had free top-grade divine tea, top-grade wine, and all kinds of Dao fruits. Anyone could taste them as long as they came here. Ning Cheng secretly admired Feng Xian's forthrightness and generosity. Even if everyone came to him with gifts, he still allowed people to drink the wine brewed from these high-grade divine grasses. It was truly a generous gesture. Ning Cheng also poured a cup, but in Ning Cheng's opinion, the taste was only above average. Compared to his improved none-to-depend-on wine, it was far worse. Looking through the restrictions on the public square, one could see a vibrant planet outside, which reminded Ning Cheng of Earth. The starland outside the public square is the Boundless Palace. The Boundless Palace is famous because of Senior Feng. Mang Yong also picked up a cup of wine and came to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng noticed that Mang Yong's tone had changed slightly. Before, he would occasionally address Feng Xian or Feng Xian most of the time. But now, he directly addressed Feng Xian as Senior Feng. It seemed that this fellow was afraid that his words would spread out. Before Ning Cheng could speak, a clear voice sounded from above the public square. "The Boundless Palace welcomes all Dao friends as guests. Now, please proceed to the Boundless Palace's Dao Right." After the voice fell, many cultivators began to line up to enter a transmission array in the depths of the public square. Ning Cheng followed Mang Yong in line. Seeing that everyone who entered the transmission array gave a gift to the female cultivator standing at the entrance, Ning Cheng also prepared a gift. Ning Cheng didn't have much interest in this Dao discussion. If not for following Mang Yong and getting news about the Starry Sky Wheel, Ning Cheng wouldn't have come here. Therefore, the gift Ning Cheng prepared was very simple, just a high-rank spirit artifact. Actually, a high-grade god artifact was not considered a bad thing. It was just that it was not worth mentioning here. For Ning Cheng, this was just a magical weapon that he had refined himself. "Brother Ning, I suggest that you choose a more precious gift." Mang Yong, who was standing beside Ning Cheng, saw Ning Cheng take out a jade box and sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng. Why? Ning Cheng was a little puzzled. Feng Xian was a generous person. Even if he did not send a gift, according to Mang Yong, Feng Xian would not care about it. Hee hee. Mang Yong chuckled. After Senior Phoenix's Dao discussion ends, there will be a trade fair. The exchange fair didn't select participants based on their cultivation, but based on the grade of the gift each person had given, whether they were qualified to participate or not. If your gift is too poor, you won't be qualified to enter the trade fair. I suggest you participate in this trade fair. There are all kinds of good things there. There are only things you can't afford, and there's nothing you can't see. Hearing this, Ning Cheng immediately felt tempted. The people who came here included almost all the powerhouses from the various interfaces in the surroundings. What kind of good things would come out of such a trade fair? At his level of cultivation opportunities were the most important thing. If one could participate in a trade fair of this level and scale, it would be considered an opportunity. How many people will participate in this trade fair? Ning Qing estimated that there would be more than 100,000 people participating in this Tao discussion. Generally, more than 5,000 people will participate. In any case, no more than 10,000 people will participate. Sometimes, only 3,000 people will participate. Mang Yong explained. After listening to Mang Yong's explanation, Ning Qing put away the high-grade spirit artifact and replaced it with a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. For ordinary first-step Tao confirming holy emperors, a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit might not necessarily be more valuable than a high-grade spirit artifact. But for some peak-level holy emperors, 100 high-grade spirit artifacts might not even be comparable to a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. The pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit was also a rare Tao fruit. Ning Qing had obtained the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit from the Grand Essence Ruins Shadow Burial Blue Sand. At that time, he didn't get much, just a few. This Tao fruit had one advantage. It didn't need to be refined into pills. Any seriously injured holy emperor could take it, and it was much better than medicinal pills. Moreover, for alchemy masters, this Tao fruit contained a natural Tao pill, which was a good thing for comprehending the Tao of alchemy. In terms of value, the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit was even better than some Tao essence Tao fruits. Ning Qing estimated that he could get a seat among 5,000 people by taking out the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit. The teleportation gate moved quickly, and it didn't take long before Ning Qing and Mang Yong's turn arrived. Ning Qing engraved his name on the jade box and handed it to the cultivator who welcomed the guests. After entering the teleportation gate, the space in front of Ning Qing fluctuated a bit, and he found himself standing on a hillside with rich spirit qi. Not only was the spirit qi rich enough to make people envious, but the surrounding heaven and earth laws and Tao charm were also extremely complete, no weaker than the Grand Change realm. Ning Qing looked around. Not only were there hillsides, but there were also lakes, bamboo forests, plains, glaciers and so on. Most of the places were already occupied, and many people were sitting in the same place with their eyes closed. Ning Qing understood that this should be the Boundless Palace's Tao right. A Tao right was different from a public square. A public square could be used as a Tao right, but a Tao right wasn't necessarily a public square. This Tao right was obviously a top-grade Tao right with perfect laws. Everything around him also looked very natural, giving people a feeling of blending in with heaven and earth. Ning Qing liked bamboo forests, so he found an empty spot next to a bamboo forest not far away and sat down. The Tao charm of this Tao right was very clear, so Ning Qing didn't sit for long before he immersed himself in the surrounding Tao charm. An hour later, a gentle and clear voice rang out in his ears. Ning Qing opened his eyes and saw a middle-aged man suspended in the air above a field of sunflowers. The middle-aged man wore blue robes and a Saint Emperor crown on his head. He had a gentle smile on his face. This must be Feng Xian. He really looked like a celestial being. Ning Qing didn't think that Feng Xian was this gentle. His red phoenix eyes gave people a feeling of decisiveness and killing intent. As for his cultivation, Ning Qing vaguely felt that he should be an expert beyond Tao fusion. Dang! 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 3 bell sounds rang out, and a ripple-like Tao charm law swept across the entire Tao right. Ning Qing felt a cool breeze blowing past him, and his whole body relaxed. The aura of the Tao charm law around him became even clearer. Ning Qing secretly thought that this should be the most famous Tao awakening bell of the Boundless Palace that Mang Yong mentioned. Feng Xian stretched out his hand in the void and then said with a smile, "The world's great Tao, hundreds of millions of chants, thousands of Tao bodies, complex and indescribable. However, I believe that the world's simplest path is the Tao. Thousands of Taos, all for longevity." Without a word of nonsense, he directly started discussing the Tao. After listening to a few words, Ning Qing deeply agreed. Feng Xian made it sound simple. No matter how complicated the cultivation methods of the world's great Tao were, no matter how many tricks there were, in the end, it was all for one word: longevity. Longevity, not entering the reincarnation cycle, transcending everything, this was the ultimate goal of every Tao cultivator. No Tao cultivator wanted to let their fate be controlled by the heavenly Tao. Therefore, they had to go beyond the heavenly Tao and grasp their own fate in their own hands. There is no high or low Tao, and there is a high or low realm. I hold the great Tao in my hands, who can know? Feng Xian's Tao discussion gradually merged with the surrounding Tao charm law of heaven and earth. Coupled with Feng Xian's own Tao charm aura, it formed waves of Tao patterns that spread out. Almost everyone immersed themselves in Feng Xian's Tao discussion and absorbed what they needed from it. In the end, many people seemed to see that Feng Xian's hand wasn't holding nothing, but the Tao charm law. Ning Qing didn't need many things from Feng Xian's Tao discussion, but there were also things he needed. Ning Qing, with a learning attitude, listened and pondered. Time flowed by as Feng Xian's Tao discussion's Tao patterns flowed. Many people were immersed in it and didn't know how much time had passed. The Boundless Palace's Tao Rite was like an ordinary mortal world, experiencing spring, summer, autumn, and winter, experiencing heavy rain and cold, experiencing the scorching sun and frost. After an unknown amount of time, everything returned to its original state. The Tao Rite was still the same Tao Rite, and the location was still the same. However, Feng Xian, who was discussing the Tao above the sunflowers, had long since disappeared. Only the sunflowers facing the sun had matured. When everyone first came here, these sunflowers had just bloomed, but now they had matured. Ning Qing knew very well that these matured sunflowers weren't the same season as before, but another season after a year. Although Ning Qing didn't try to understand these Tao charms, listening to Feng Xian's Tao discussion for a year, he had gained a lot. The only thing that made him feel a little awkward was that he had to sit on the sunflowers to discuss the Tao, which reminded Ning Qing of the sunflower treasured scripture. However, Ning Qing also admired Feng Xian's magnanimity. This was because Feng Xian's Tao discourse was sincere, and he absolutely brought out his own true understanding of the Tao. This was the real thing, not the kind of thing that deceives people. Because of this, Feng Xian won the cheers of many people. Cheers rang out, and a fragrant God Spirit fruit fell down, suspended in front of everyone. Ning Qing also had a God Spirit fruit suspended in front of him. Ning Qing raised his hand and grabbed the God Spirit fruit. He knew that this should be the Great Heaven fruit. Many people began to enjoy the Great Heaven fruit. After listening to Feng Xian's Tao discussion, it was the most appropriate time to enjoy the Great Heaven fruit. Some people put away the Great Heaven fruit and didn't eat it immediately. Ning Qing took out a jade box and put the God Spirit fruit into it. At this moment, the jade card in his hand lit up, and a message appeared on the jade card, welcoming rogue cultivator Ning Qing to the Boundless Palace to participate in the trade feast. Ning Qing smiled and stood up. His Pillheart Spirit Ganoderma fruit had really gotten him a place to participate in the trade fair. Chapter 11:10. Hey, you're also participating in the trading meet? I'm also participating. Let's go in together. A hoarse voice asked. The speaker was a middle-aged woman with a Tao Nourishment Realm cultivation and slightly dark skin. Okay. While Ning Qing spoke, he saw Mang Yong in the distance make a gesture to him and walk out of the Tao Hall. Walking out of the Tao Hall, there was a spacious jade-paved road. Star-formed trees were planted on both sides of the road, which were lush and exuded a strong spiritual aura. Walking through this spacious road, Ning Qing saw the majestic gate tower of the Boundless Palace from afar. The three words Boundless Palace on the gate tower seemed to fly away, with Tao charm overflowing. Thousands of jade steps extended up, and on the left and right were pavilions and towers surrounded by immortal charm. Immortal lotuses floated on some flowing water, giving this place a touch of otherworldly charm. Ning Qing could not help but think of the Southern Heavenly Gate. The Southern Heavenly Gate should be a legendary thing, but he actually saw it here. Could it be that the Southern Heavenly Gate also existed? I heard that the boundless palace is made up of top-grade divine spirit veins and is filled with heaven and earth law Dao charm. Even if you don't cultivate here, your cultivation will improve after staying here for a while. The middle-aged woman beside Ning Qing whispered when she saw Ning Qing looking around. Ning Qing was about to answer when he suddenly saw a man in a blue robe flash out from the side and cut the queue in front of him into the boundless palace. Ning Qing's mind buzzed, and he suddenly stopped in his tracks. He did not expect to see this man in a blue robe here. This guy had competed with him for the true Yang heart. In the end, not only did he snatch the true Yang heart, but he also snatched this guy's mountain river dipper. Since this guy appeared here and cut the queue, was he from the boundless palace? Ning Qing suddenly remembered what the man in a blue robe had said before. I believe that after I set foot on the sun moon wind wheels, you should have recognized me, right? You know who I am, yet you still dare to run away. You have a lot of guts. Thinking of this sentence, Ning Qing was almost sure that this man in a blue robe was from the boundless palace. At this moment, Ning Qing almost wanted to turn around and leave. This is senior brother Feng Yu, senior Feng Xi's nephew. He's deeply favored by senior Feng Xi. He has a pair of sun moon wind wheels, which was also given to him by senior Feng Xi. I heard that senior Feng Xi even gave his mountain and river dipper to him. His aptitude is also very high. Senior Feng Xi liked blue robes, and he always wore them. His future was limitless. Although he was favored by senior Feng Xi, he didn't flaunt it. I only got to know senior brother Feng Yu by chance. Don't worry, we are going to participate in the trade fair, it has nothing to do with him. Seeing Ning Qing pause, the middle-aged female cultivator who came with Ning Qing whispered to Ning Qing. Ning Qing nodded, so that's how it is, let's go. If he turned around and left, he would probably be pulled out and investigated immediately. At this time, Ning Qing braced himself, and could only enter the boundless palace. He had made up his mind that no matter how many good things there were at the trade fair, he would definitely not stand out. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Qing and the middle-aged woman, under the guidance of the receptionist female cultivator, arrived at the spacious and luxurious trading hall. The trading hall was already filled with all kinds of cultivators. Ning Qing and the middle-aged female cultivator were both first-step Dao confirming cultivators. Therefore, they consciously sat in the corner. Seeing the sign in front of Ning Cheng's seat with rogue cultivator Ning Cheng, the female cultivator spoke up in admiration, Dao friend Ning, for a rogue cultivator to appear here, you will definitely have great achievements in the future. Ning Cheng also saw the female cultivator's jade card, which had, Twin Rain Star Zhan Shui, written on it. He also spoke up, many thanks for Dao friend Zhan's auspicious words. At this time, Ning Cheng just wanted to finish the trade fair as soon as possible. How could he be in the mood to inquire about anything else? He didn't even have the mood to observe who was participating in this trade fair. He had already seen Feng Yu sitting in a conspicuous position in front of him. Apparently, Zhan Shui, was right, Feng Yu had a high status. Mang Yong, this fellow, was a jinx. The first time he went to Jiaoyang Mountain with him, he didn't get any good things. In the end, he ended up being chased by a Dao Essence Holy Emperor and forced into the Perpetual Moon Gate. This time, he came to Feng Xi's Dao discussion convention with him, only to meet his enemy, Feng Yu. If Feng Yu found out that he was here, he would be in a situation where he would definitely die. Dao friend Ning, if you need anything, you can also post a message here. As long as you can come up with the payment, you can get a satisfactory answer. Zhan Shui, didn't notice Ning Cheng's abnormality and still spoke up with good intentions. If Feng Yu wasn't here, Ning Cheng would have immediately released 2 messages. The location of the first sacred Dao world. If he wanted to find the wood origin bead, he would have to find Tian Muan. According to the information provided by Ruoxi, Tian Muan and that girl should have gone to the sacred Dao world. The second was naturally to release the news about the breath soil. What he most wanted to know now was where the breath soil could be found. Precious divine tea and all kinds of delicious divine fruits were brought up, but Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to taste them. Fortunately, he had changed his appearance before coming here. Otherwise, Feng Yu would have already recognized him. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, Feng Xian, who was still wearing a blue robe and a holy crown, walked in with a smile and sat at the head of the trading hall. Behind him stood 4 beautiful women, making him look like an emperor. Thank you, Dao friends, for coming to the Boundless Palace to participate in this Feng Xi's Dao rite. Before we proceed with the transaction, I want to say 2 things. The first thing I want to thank is a rogue cultivator named Ning Cheng. When Feng Xian said this, Ning Cheng's heart thumped even harder. Why did he have to thank him? He couldn't be any more low-key. Feng Xian continued, everyone knows that in addition to cultivation, I also love the alchemy Dao. It's just that due to my aptitude, I can only refine Dao birth Dao pills so far. This time, Dao friend Ning gave me a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit, which allowed my understanding of the alchemy Dao to reach a higher level. Now, I can refine Dao transformation Dao pills. After Feng Xian finished speaking, there was a burst of praise in the trading hall. Which of you is Dao friend Ning? Please allow me, Feng Xian, to get to know you. After speaking, Feng Xian stood up first. Whether it was his tone of speech or his demeanor, no one could find any dissatisfaction with him. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. He couldn't wait to take back the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit and smash it into pieces. Why did he have to give a pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit? The pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit wasn't very precious, but it was rare and almost impossible to find. Moreover, it had a natural pill heart, which could help one comprehend the alchemy Dao. Despite feeling helpless in his heart, Ning Cheng still stood up and said with cupped fists in fear, Ning Cheng greets Senior Feng. He didn't know if Feng Xian could see through his disguise. After all, not everyone could be like Mang Yong, who had innate Dao eyes, right? Dao friend Ning doesn't have to be nervous. Please sit down. If you have time, you can come to my boundless palace at any time. I, Feng Xian, will be on call. Regardless of whether Feng Xian's words were true or not, after this sentence, Ning Cheng's status immediately doubled. Many envious eyes fell on Ning Cheng. They all secretly hated themselves for not finding the pill heart divine Ganoderma fruit and sending it to him. Ning Cheng quickly sat down. He knew that because of his nervousness, Feng Xian could sense the slight disorder in his Dao runes. He wasn't nervous because Feng Xian asked him to stand up. He was worried that Feng Yu would recognize him. Fortunately, after Ning Cheng sat down, Feng Yu just swept his gaze over him and didn't make any moves, which made Ning Cheng feel a little more at ease. After Ning Cheng sat down, Feng Xian spoke up again, the second thing is that I, Feng Yu, would like to ask for a favor from all the Dao friends. As soon as Feng Xian's voice fell, the trading hall resounded with all kinds of assurance and affirmation. It seemed that as long as Feng Xian asked for a favor, they would help him no matter what it was. Feng Xian thanked them in a very gracious manner, it's like this. My good-for-nothing nephew, Feng Yu, went to Jiaoyang Mountain a few days ago. He wanted to find the true Yang heart. As a result, the true Yang heart he found was snatched away, and even my boundless palace's mountain river dipper was taken away by this person. This time, Feng Xian's words were like a grenade thrown into the crowd, and everyone immediately started talking about it. Who didn't know about the Boundless Palace's mountain river dipper? It was one of the Boundless Palace's most famous treasures. They didn't expect that someone would dare to snatch the mountain river dipper. This was even more audacious than eating a leopard's gall. For a while, many voices started berating the person who snatched the mountain river dipper. Such a vicious person dared to appear in Jiaoyang Mountain. After everyone talked for a while, Feng Xian raised his hand, and the voices instantly stopped. Fellow Taoists, you're all friends of mine, Feng Xian. Originally, this matter shouldn't bother you, but the mountain river dipper is related to the future and reputation of my boundless palace. Moreover, this person is ruthless. If Feng Yu hadn't left quickly, I'm afraid this world would no longer have Feng Yu. I would like to ask Dao friends to help me capture this person. No matter who it is, as long as this person is caught and retrieves the lost things from my boundless palace. I, Feng Xian, am willing to give you 10 top-grade God spiritual veins and a primordial chaos rainbow glow fruit. In addition, he will be the most precious friend of my boundless palace. The 5 boundless palace will agree to 3 conditions for him. Even if you provide information, my boundless palace will still give you top rewards. Feng Yu, stand up now and hang up this person's image. Feng Xian's tone was firm, and with a strong Dao charm aura, no one would have any doubts. Ning Qing sucked in a breath of cold air. Feng Xian's move was truly ruthless. Most likely, the people who came here today were all over the surrounding realms. Feng Xian's order simply made it impossible for him to go anywhere. Not to mention the top-grade God spiritual veins and the 3 conditions, even the value of the primordial chaos rainbow glow fruit was incalculable. Feng Xian was not only generous, but also rich. Feng Yu stood up, raised his hand, and waved out an image. In the image, Ning Qing wielded the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and held the void cold light spear. It looked extraordinary, but Ning Qing wasn't in the mood to appreciate it. Chapter 11:11. Although Ning Qing did not look elsewhere, but he vaguely felt that Mang Yong's gaze seemed to have fallen on him. Ning Qing felt sure that even if Mang Yong had innate Dao eyes, he would not be able to confirm that he was the one who had snatched the mountain river dipper. However, Mang Yong now had some suspicions towards him. It was normal for him to be suspicious. Back when he and Mang Yong went to Mount Jiaoyang, they had mentioned the True Yang heart. Now that Feng Yu's True Yang heart had been stolen, it was impossible for Mang Yong not to be suspicious. The image given by Feng Yu was copied by the crowd, while Ning Qing also pretended to re-engrave a copy. Thank you for listening to my nonsense. Feng Xian will not waste your time. The trade fair officially begins. After Feng Xian finished speaking, he cupped his fists and sat down. Regardless of whether Feng Xian was being polite or not, as a Dao integration expert, he was polite in front of an ordinary first-step Dao validation cultivator. This kind of attitude would be praised by everyone. Let me throw the brick. I have a piece of soul transformation essence crystal. I want to trade it for a wind-attributed Dao fruit, or something similar. After Feng Xian finished speaking, a big-headed man raised a jade box and said, the soul transformation essence crystal was an extremely precious material. Not only could this material be used for refining, it could also be fused into a Dao core. It could allow cultivators with impurities or cracks in their origin souls to dissolve their original origin souls and fuse them together again. The big-headed man's soul transformation origin crystal was quickly exchanged for a wind attribute Dao fruit. With the first one, the subsequent transactions became even more heated. Several people even took out their own items at the same time, and then let everyone bid for them. All kinds of precious materials and treasures were brought out. Ning Qing even saw someone taking out void dewdrops and heaven-stabilizing demon flowers. Moreover, the majority of people were able to obtain items that they were satisfied with. It could be seen how high the level of this trade fair was. Ning Qing had 2 drops of void dewdrops on him, which were top-grade materials for refining the sky-replenishing bone vein pill and were extremely difficult to obtain. As for the heaven-stabilizing demon flower, it was the highest-grade law god herb that devil cultivators needed. Fellow Daoist Ning, why don't you trade? Many treasures and materials came out to trade. Even Zhan Shuai, who stood next to Ning Qing, traded a Dao fruit. When she saw that Ning Qing had not moved, she asked in doubt. Because Feng Xian thanked Ning Qing by name, Zhan Shuai, wanted to make friends with Ning Qing. Ning Qing couldn't help but think that if Feng Xian did not call him up, then even if he did not trade, it would not affect the overall situation. Feng Xian had named him, and he had given him the Scarlet Heart Divine Ganoderma fruit. If he did not trade, it would seem even more abrupt. Maybe someone was eyeing him and wanted to trade for the Scarlet Heart Divine Ganoderma fruit. I haven't found what I want yet, so I'm going to wait for a while. Ning Qing gave a dry laugh and spoke. Zhan Shui, was about to speak when she saw an old man with a long beard stand up. Most of the people who traded were sitting down, so when the long-bearded old man stood up, he attracted everyone's attention. The long-bearded old man raised a jade bottle and said, "I have 7 drops of water stop here. I would like to exchange them for the wood origin essence, a wood elemental primordial chaos Dao fruit, or a wood elemental chaos Dao aura." Zhan Shui's words immediately stopped. Up until now, the long-bearded old man had taken out the most precious item. Furthermore, the things he traded were equally precious. There weren't many people sitting here who didn't know about water stop. Water stop didn't refer to calm water, but a connate object, also known as heart water. Heart like still water was actually derived from water stop. Water stop ranked 4th among the 10 connate waters. The effect of still water could allow anyone to cultivate and comprehend without any distractions. The higher the cultivation of a Dao confirming Holy Emperor, the more interference they would face when improving their cultivation. A drop of water stop could be said to be more effective than any Dao fruit. This kind of thing even had an effect on primordial chaos powerhouses, and this was just one of the functions of water stop. What's more, this long-bearded old man didn't take out 1 drop, but 7 drops of water stop. These 7 drops of water stop, even a Dao unification Holy Emperor would feel a little envious. Ning Cheng had something that the long-bearded old man wanted to trade, such as wood elemental chaos qi. However, Ning Cheng didn't intend to take out wood elemental chaos qi in exchange for water stop. It wasn't that he didn't want to trade, but that he couldn't. Many offers came out one after another: wood elemental primordial Dao fruit, wood origin crystal, wood elemental materials. However, none of these offers satisfied the long-bearded old man. Just when the long-bearded old man thought that the trade fair was over, a yellow-robed young man stood up and asked, "Fellow Daoist Yu, I wonder if I can exchange the wood origin bead with you?" After the yellow-robed young man said this, the entire hall fell silent. The wood origin bead might not be the most precious thing, but the wood origin bead had a special characteristic that no one could ignore. It was an origin bead formed during the creation of heaven and earth. If a wood elemental cultivator or an alchemist obtained the wood origin bead, it would definitely amaze everyone and lead a smooth journey. Moreover, the wood origin bead also had a very important characteristic. Once the 5 elements origin beads were gathered, the true spirit world could evolve into a 5 elements chaos world. If the 5 elements chaos world evolved, it would become a real chaos world. Not only the long-bearded old man, but everyone else also wanted this thing. Even if someone couldn't use it, they could exchange it for other things after obtaining the wood origin bead. The fiery gazes that were originally staring at the long-bearded old man all fell on the yellow-robed young man. Ning Cheng almost stood up anxiously. Wasn't the remaining half of the wood origin bead with Tian Muan? How could it appear on this yellow-robed man? Did this guy kill Tian Muan and then take away the wood origin bead? Ning Cheng was also a Dao transformation Holy Emperor now, so he naturally knew that there wouldn't be 2 wood origin beads. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng couldn't help but exude a trace of killing intent. In any case, Tian Muan was his first love. Even if they broke up later, this was a fact that couldn't be changed. What's more, Tian Muan had left Earth and came to the endless void to survive. She was someone who shared the same fate as him. If this yellow-robed man killed Tian Muan, he would kill him even if he had to chase him to the ends of the earth. Dao friend Ning. Zhan Shui, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, felt Ning Cheng's killing intent and quickly called out to Ning Cheng. She wasn't afraid of Ning Cheng's killing intent, but to release such a killing intent in such a place was simply courting death. Ning Cheng recovered and quickly restrained all his emotions. At this moment, he understood that although he had nothing to do with Tian Muan, he still cared about Tian Muan's life and death. "Thank you, Dao friend Zhan. I forgot myself just now." Ning Cheng quickly thanked Zhan Shui. He secretly became vigilant. Zhan Shui, wasn't the only one who felt his killing intent. Zhan Shui, nodded to Ning Cheng but didn't speak. She knew that she wasn't the only one who felt Ning Cheng's killing intent. Tao friend, do you have the wood origin bead? The long-bearded old man spoke with excitement. Apparently, the yellow-robed young man knew him, but he didn't know the yellow-robed young man. Since you have the wood origin bead, I'm willing to give you all 7 drops of still water, and... Without waiting for the long-bearded old man to finish, the yellow-robed young man shook his head and said, I only want 1 drop of still water. I don't want anything else. After hearing the yellow-robed young man's words, everyone suddenly felt puzzled. If the yellow-robed young man really had the wood origin bead, even 70 drops of still water wouldn't be worth even 1% of the wood origin bead's value. But the yellow-robed young man said he only wanted 1 drop. What did he mean? The long-bearded old man also looked at the yellow-robed young man in confusion, not understanding what he meant. The yellow-robed young man spoke up unhurriedly, I don't have the wood origin bead on me, but I know where the wood origin bead is and who has it. You mean you want to use this information to buy a drop of my still water? The long-bearded old man's expression suddenly turned ugly. This yellow-robed young man's cultivation was already at the middle stage Tao essence realm. If the wood origin bead was easy to obtain, why would he wait here to trade information? The yellow-robed young man showed a slight smile, that's it. Of course, it's up to you whether you want to trade or not. Once the trade is completed, I will swear a Tao recitation oath that I will never tell anyone else about it. The long-bearded old man sneered, sorry, but I won't trade. What a joke. If the wood origin bead was in the hands of a Tao perfection expert, what was the difference between getting this information and not getting it? He had the still water, so he wasn't afraid of not being able to exchange it for something good. The yellow-robed young man's eyes flashed with disappointment and he sat down without saying anything. Some of the primordial chaos sacred emperors, who originally had bright eyes, also felt a little disappointed. If the wood origin bead wasn't in the yellow-robed young man's hands, then there was no need to care about it. Information could only be used to fool ignorant people. Wait, I want to trade information about your wood origin bead. A deep voice made the yellow-robed young man happy again. Ning Cheng's heart sank again. He had planned to wait until the end of the trade meeting to trade with the yellow-robed young man alone, but it seemed that it wouldn't work now. I don't think you have a still water. If you have a treasure that can remold an essence spirit, we can also trade, the yellow-robed young man said immediately. The person who wanted to trade information about the wood origin bead with the yellow-robed young man was a burly man with a primordial Tao cultivation. After hearing the yellow-robed young man's words, he frowned slightly and said, how about I give you spirit crystals? The yellow-robed young man shook his head. Spirit crystals didn't have much use for him. Ning Qing knew that he couldn't wait any longer. He stood up, took out a jade box, and said, I have a rootless green bamboo leaf here. It's a good thing for remold an essence spirit. If this Tao friend wants, you can trade it with me. When the yellow-robed young man heard the words rootless green bamboo, he immediately rejoiced and said, if you can take out 2, I'll trade. Ning Qing didn't hesitate to take out another rootless green bamboo leaf and put it in the jade box. 2 rootless green bamboo leaves for information about the wood origin bead. At the same time, you have to swear a Tao recollection oath that you won't tell a third person about this information. Sure, let's trade, the yellow-robed young man said excitedly. Wait. Just as Ning Cheng and the yellow-robed young man reached an agreement, a slightly shrill voice interrupted the two. Chapter 11-12. The one who stood up was also a young man. Ning Cheng looked at his cultivation and guessed that he was at the middle stage Tao essence realm. Ning Cheng's complexion turned a bit ugly to look at. It was not that this person had stood up and said to slow down, but because this person was sitting next to Feng Yu, he had some suspicions that it was Feng Yu who had asked this person to stand up and interfere with his transaction. Ning Cheng did not speak, but the yellow-robed youth cupped his fists and spoke, does this Tao friend have something to say? The young man who stood up chuckled, I'm Chiao Mai. I've also taken a fancy to your wood origin beads message jade strip. I'm willing to pay a silent soul crystal. When the yellow-robed youth heard the words silent soul crystal, his eyes immediately lit up. He immediately looked at Ning Cheng, but did not speak. Ning Cheng naturally knew about the silent soul crystal. It was also a rare treasure used to remold one's life essence. In terms of value, the Silent Soul crystal was several streets ahead of the rootless green bamboo leaves. Moreover, this kind of thing was similarly rare, and the effect of reconstructing the soul was also better than the rootless green bamboo leaves. Ning Cheng did not reply. He understood the meaning of the yellow-robed youth. In other words, someone was bidding against him. If he wanted to obtain this message jade strip, he would have to take out something better than the rootless green bamboo leaves. He had the rootless green bamboo leaves. Naturally, the rootless green bamboo was even better. Although the value of the Silent Soul crystal was much higher than the rootless green bamboo leaves, it was still far from being comparable to the rootless green bamboo. The yellow-robed youth looked at Ning Cheng, apparently wanting Ning Cheng to take out the rootless green bamboo. Of those who were able to participate in this trade fair, which one of them didn't understand? Not only did Ning Cheng understand the meaning of the yellow-robed youth, everyone else also understood it. Therefore, at this moment, no one interrupted this transaction. Seeing Ning Cheng not answering, the yellow-robed youth could not help but speak up. "This Tao friend, someone took out a Silent Soul crystal to exchange for my jade strip. What do you think about it?" Ning Cheng calmly spoke up. "The most precious thing I can take out are the 2 bamboo leaves of the rootless green bamboo. If this Tao friend wants to trade with others, then I can't do anything about it. Previously, I thought that since both of us had agreed, the deal would be a success. I didn't expect that I could go back on my word. What an eye-opener." The yellow-robed youth's face turned ugly to look at. Ning Cheng's meaning was that he despised the rules of the Boundless Realm Palace. After the transaction was completed, he could still go back on his word. Coupled with the fact that Ning Cheng had been singled out and praised by the Boundless Palace's palace master, he even slightly regretted his greed. Many people in the exchange hall did not expect Ning Cheng to be so bold as to directly say that someone did not abide by the rules in the Realmless Palace. "You mean I broke the rules?" Xiao Mai's face sunk. He didn't expect Ning Cheng, a Tao actualization divine emperor, to be so bold just because the palace lord praised him once. Ning Cheng spoke in an unhurried manner. "Whether there is any violation of the rules or not, everyone has already seen it. It is not up to me to decide." Feng Yu suddenly said, "Naturally, both parties are willing to participate in the trade. Since the items have not been exchanged, it cannot be considered a successful trade. Daoist Xiao Mai's price is reasonable." Of course, fellow Daoist Ning's thoughts were reasonable. "How about this, after the trade fair is over, the 3 of you can discuss among yourselves how to trade this jade slip." Feng Yu's words seemed fair, but in reality, he was clearly helping Xiao Mai. When the people in the main hall saw that Feng Xian did not speak, they knew that Feng Xian did not stand on Ning Cheng's side in this matter. Perhaps Feng Yu's words were instigated by Feng Xian. He naturally wanted to see if Ning Cheng had any rootless green bamboo on him. Although the grade of the rootless green bamboo was not high, it was extremely rare. Knowing that Feng Xian did not favor Ning Cheng, a few tyrannical spiritual consciousnesses swept over. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. If they wanted to investigate his situation, they could only do so by force. If a few spiritual consciousnesses could find out about his situation, then even his powerful starry sky sea of consciousness would turn into garbage. "Do you still have any shame? Since it's a trade, you have to abide by the trade contract. Even if both parties agree, because of the seller's greed, you have to renege on the deal. What kind of logic is this? I'm the first one who can't stand it." A rough voice rang out, immediately attracting everyone's attention. Ning Cheng also looked at the person who spoke up for him in confusion. He did not know many people here, so why did someone speak up for him? Feng Yu's face stiffened, but he did not speak. The one who spoke was a primordial essence holy emperor. Moreover, it looked like a primordial essence holy emperor with a profound Tao charm. Feng Xian showed a faint smile on his face. "This Tao friend is right. Since both parties have agreed to the trade, then let's go with the deal." Since Feng Xian had spoken, the yellow-robed youth had no choice but to trade with Ning Cheng. If Xiao Mai had not stood up, this transaction would have been a happy one. But because of Chiao Mai, this transaction became a little unhappy. After the transaction, the primordial essence Holy Emperor who spoke up for Ning Qing stood up. Brother Feng, I'll take my leave first. Feng Xian quickly asked. This friend, if my boundless palace has neglected you, please forgive me. The primordial essence Holy Emperor cupped his fists and said, Brother Feng Xian is heroic and unparalleled. It's my luck to make friends with Brother Feng Xian. It's just that I suddenly don't have the mood to trade and want to leave first. After that, he turned to Ning Cheng and asked, Dao friend Ning Cheng, I wonder if you want to stay here to trade, or leave with me first. When this primordial essence Holy Emperor said that he didn't have the mood to trade, everyone knew what was going on. That was, the deal between Ning Cheng and the yellow-robed youth had already been agreed to. Yet, someone still stood up to speak nonsense, and Feng Xian did not stop him immediately. Not only that, but Feng Yu also spoke up for Chiao Mai. Just this point alone made this primordial essence Holy Emperor unhappy. But when this primordial essence Holy Emperor asked Ning Cheng if he wanted to leave with him, everyone knew that it was impossible. Everyone guessed that Ning Cheng might have the rootless green bamboo, unless Ning Cheng was an idiot and was willing to follow a primordial essence Holy Emperor. How many idiots could cultivate to the Tao actualization Holy Emperor level? Feng Xian smiled awkwardly. My boundless palace welcomes Tao friend at any time. Since Tao friend has something to do, you can leave first. As soon as Feng Xian finished speaking, Ning Cheng stood up. Thank you, Senior Feng Xian. Otherwise, this junior wouldn't have been able to trade for this jade slip. This time, I've gained a lot from listening to this senior's Tao discussion. This junior will leave with this Tao friend. If I have the opportunity, I will definitely visit Boundless Palace again. Everyone sneered in their hearts. A Tao actualization Holy Emperor like you dared to visit Boundless Palace? What they didn't expect was that Ning Cheng really had the guts to leave with a primordial essence Holy Emperor. Was he courting death? Feng Xian also didn't expect Ning Cheng to dare to leave with a primordial essence Holy Emperor. Now that Ning Cheng said it, he could only say, okay, this Feng thanks Tao friend Ning again for the loyalty heart spirit Ganoderma fruit. Ning Cheng and this primordial essence Holy Emperor left the trading hall. The trading hall didn't seem to be affected much and was still very lively. 2 hours later, in a void far away from Boundless Palace, the primordial essence Holy Emperor who came out with Ning Cheng smiled. Tao friend Ning, you're quite courageous. I really didn't expect that you didn't die after falling into the perpetual moon abyss. Ning Cheng knew that the person who helped him must have come from the perpetual moon sect. It's just that the other party should have changed his appearance, so he couldn't recognize him. He had saved more than 100 people in the perpetual moon sect. Who knew who this person was? Thank you for your help, Tao friend. It's just that I haven't recognized you yet. Ning Cheng quickly cupped his hands. This primordial essence Holy Emperor raised his hand and wiped off the disguise on his face. Ning Cheng immediately recognized him. This person was called Wan Yuheng. Wan Yuheng had given him the jade strip to enter the 9 Origins ice cave. So it's Brother Wan. I was wondering why you would help me. Confirming that the other party was indeed from the Perpetual Moon sect, Ning Cheng naturally felt relieved. Wan Yuheng smiled and said, I only recognized you when Feng Xian called out your name. Later, when Feng Yu took out the image, I started to worry about you. You acted a bit rashly this time. If someone uncovered your disguise, you would have a hard time getting away. Ning Cheng sighed, if I had known that the person I snatched the mountain and river dipper was from the Boundless Palace, I wouldn't have gone there no matter how many treasures there were. Ning Cheng truly didn't know that he had such bad luck that he ended up in Feng Yu's hometown. As for the disguise, Ning Cheng didn't worry about it at all. Among the cultivators participating in the Boundless Palace's trading convention, if not 1,000, there were at least 800 of them. With his powerful starry sky sea of consciousness, even a primordial essence Holy Emperor wouldn't be able to check him casually. But with Feng Yu's matter, it was a completely different story. Feng Yu and him had fought before. Therefore, a holy emperor like Feng Yu could naturally feel some clues. Brother Wan, I really have to thank you this time. Ning Qing thought that Xiao Mai might have acted under Feng Yu's instructions, which made him feel even more grateful to Wan Yuheng. If he hadn't followed Xiao Mai out, it would have dragged on for a long time. Although he had saved more than 100 powerhouses from the Perpetual Moon sect, it was nothing more than a casual act of help. Now that the good karma had fallen on his head, he felt sure that if it weren't for him, Wan Yuheng wouldn't have left the exchange convention in advance. Wan Yuheng also didn't act pretentiously and spoke with a slightly serious expression. Dao friend Ning, that Feng Yu might have some doubts about you. It's just that Feng Xian wants to leave a generous and hospitable impression. That's why you could leave so easily. I suggest that you leave this side of the void after this matter is over. The further you go, the better. Without Wan Yuheng's words, Ning Qing didn't plan to stay here. As for searching for the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit with Mang Yong, it would have to wait until his cultivation reached the Tao Essence realm. At this time, Ning Qing also felt a little suspicious about Mang Yong. Why did he always face a life and death crisis every time he was with him? Now that he was far away from the Boundless Palace, he simply said goodbye to Wan Yuheng. Wan Yuheng didn't ask Ning Qing how he came out of the Perpetual Moon sect. Ning Qing wanted to leave, so he gave a simple nod and said, I'm leaving too. I haven't recovered my strength yet. I only came to the Boundless Palace because of Feng Xian's great reputation. Even if I went there, I wouldn't find anything good. The starry sky is vast, so we'll meet again. After separating from Wan Yuheng, Ning Qing immediately brought out the Starry Sky Wheel and fully stimulated it. As for Mang Yong's communication pearl, Ning Qing threw it into the mysterious yellow bead. After bringing out the Starry Sky Wheel, Ning Qing took out the jade strip he obtained from the exchange. The jade strip contained a simple message, which stated that someone had seen the wood origin bead in the Fallen Wood Temple. Apart from the Fallen Wood Temple, there was no other information. Ning Qing could only crush the jade strip and look for a void city to inquire about the Fallen Wood Temple. Chapter 11-13. The Boundless Palace's trade meet had ended. Everyone came with satisfaction and returned with satisfaction. The fairyland-like Boundless Palace seemed to have quietened down. Inside the Boundless Palace, Feng Xian sat on a wide jade chair with an expressionless face. The god spirit qi emanating from the jade chair formed a vague charm that faintly protected Feng Xian. Feng Yu stood below with a respectful look. There are many people in disguise. Even if you feel familiar, you wouldn't openly side with Xiao Mai, right? What's more, I received his help. Although the rootless green bamboo is precious, I shouldn't have played tricks at that time and forced him to take out the rootless green bamboo. 10,000 rootless green bamboo isn't worth the reputation of my Boundless Palace. Feng Xian's expression was very serious, and his tone carried a hint of reproach. He felt that he might have been too lenient with Feng Yu, so much so that when he praised Ning Qing, it made Feng Yu feel a little uncomfortable in his heart. Feng Yu probably didn't notice it, but he couldn't help but notice it. Feng Yu lowered his head and said, at that time, I didn't just feel familiar with him. I also didn't want to force him to take out the rootless green bamboo. It's mainly because I felt a little awkward in my heart. I always felt that Ning Qing was a bit strange. I had an idea that I must break his disguise and see who he was. Feng Xian's expression turned a little ugly. Every time someone came to the Boundless Palace's trade meet, at least 1/10 of them would come in disguise. Some people traded things that were too precious and naturally didn't want others to know about it. If they wanted to check every cultivator in disguise, then the Boundless Palace wouldn't have such a resounding reputation today. Feng Xian could make friends all over the world because of this kind of boldness and magnanimity. By the way, I remember. Feng Yu's expression changed, and he suddenly called out loudly. Feng Xian frowned even more. Without waiting for Feng Xian to speak, Feng Yu exclaimed, Uncle, he must be the guy who took away my mountain river dipper and fought with me. I was wondering why I felt awkward, so it was him. What? Feng Xian also stood up in shock. If Ning Cheng really took away the mountain river dipper, then why didn't he notice it? The mountain river dipper had a trace of his imprint. Even if Ning Cheng was a Tao Essence Divine Emperor, it wouldn't be easy to refine. What's more, Ning Cheng was a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor. If he couldn't refine the mountain river dipper, he would definitely be able to sense a trace of resonance. But in fact, he did not feel any resonance from Ning Cheng. Are you sure that Ning Cheng is the one who snatched the true Yang heart from you, and then took away the mountain and river dipper? Feng Xian's words were spoken almost word for word, with a strong killing intent in his tone. He, Feng Xian, liked to make friends all over the world, but no one could take away his things. Not to mention a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor like Ning Cheng, even a Tao Integration Divine Emperor couldn't do it. Moreover, there was one more thing that made him excited. If the mountains and river dipper was truly in Ning Cheng's hands. Although Ning Cheng had not refined the mountain and river dipper, he did not feel it at all. There was only one possibility. That is, Ning Cheng had a treasure on him that surpassed the grade of the 5 elements primal chaos world, which could conceal all auras. Feng Yu clenched his fists, while his eyes revealed a strong sense of unwillingness as he spoke. Uncle, I'm sure that I didn't guess wrong. Ning Cheng is definitely him, the person who snatched away my mountain and river dough. Previously, my first impression was the strongest. I never thought that someone would be so bold. I didn't expect this person to be so bold. Go and find out who Ning Cheng came with. Feng Xian was overflowing with killing intent. Daring to play tricks on his boundless palace, was he courting death? Of course, more importantly, if Ning Cheng had the 5 elements primal chaos world, then it would not be as simple as taking back a mountain and river dipper. Half an incense stick later, the result that Feng Xian wanted appeared in his hands. Ning Cheng came with a Tao Transformation Divine Emperor called Mang Yong. After the end of the exchange, Mang Yong also disappeared. There was also a female cultivator called Zhan Shuai, who was familiar with Ning Cheng. However, this female cultivator only met Ning Cheng temporarily after the Tao discussion. You stole my, Feng Xian's, thing. Even if you go to the ends of the earth, I will catch you and bring you back to the boundless palace. Feng Xian looked up at the void outside the boundless palace and spoke in a cold tone. Pass down the order to arrest Ning Cheng and Mang Yong immediately. Ning Cheng took advantage of the fact that he left first. When Feng Xian started to order his arrest, he disguised himself as an ordinary middle-aged male cultivator and passed through several void markets. In these void markets, Ning Cheng did not ask about the location of the fallen wood temple. In the end, Ning Cheng simply stopped asking. Although Ning Cheng left the exchange meeting early, he could still feel Feng Xian's power 3 months later. Even though he was hundreds of millions of miles away from the boundless palace, he could still see his wanted posters after entering the void markets. Not only was there a wanted poster for him, but there was also a wanted poster for Mang Yong. The Binjie Void City was just a void city that Ning Cheng passed by on his way back. Just like the previous void markets, after Ning Cheng entered the Binjie Void City, there were wanted posters for him both at the city gates and in the city. Ning Cheng had long since become accustomed to it. Although Feng Xian had great power and could order his wanted posters everywhere, he couldn't check any cultivator in disguise. In any void market, there were tens of thousands of people in disguise. If everyone was checked, even Feng Xian wouldn't be able to bear the public's wrath. This guy is too daring. He even dared to rob the boundless palace's things. This kind of person will die sooner or later. When Ning Cheng entered the Binjie Void City's gate, he heard people talking about his wanted posters. What's wrong with the boundless palace? I heard that Ning Cheng robbed Feng Yu of the boundless palace when he fought him face to face. Feng Yu's cultivation level is at the late stage Tao transformation, while Ning Cheng is only at the early stage Tao transformation. This shows that he has the ability. If you have the ability, go ahead and rob him. Someone next to him retorted with a sneer. Ning Cheng looked at the retorting cultivator in surprise. He hadn't expected that someone would dare not stand on the boundless palace's side. It seemed that not everyone thought that the boundless palace was great. If you have the ability to go to the Void City near the Boundless Palace and speak like this, I admire you. The retorted cultivator also sneered. I speak like this no matter where I go. Could it be that the Boundless Palace is unreasonable? Just because I didn't speak up for the Boundless Palace, what are you going to do to me? After the retorting cultivator finished speaking, he turned around and left. Ning Cheng, who felt that the retorting cultivator was somewhat familiar, quickly followed him. Before he could speak, the cultivator stopped and looked back at Ning Cheng with a frown. Are you following me? After hearing this, Ning Cheng became even more convinced and quickly sent a voice transmission. Taoist friend, are you alchemy sage Leng Chen from the Absolute Beginning Realm? When the cultivator heard Ning Cheng's words, he immediately stared at Ning Cheng in surprise. He had clearly changed his appearance, so how did Ning Cheng recognize him? When Ning Cheng saw the other party's expression, he knew that he hadn't guessed wrong. This was Leng Chen from the Absolute Beginning Realm. Ning Cheng was very familiar with the alchemy Dao runes on him. During the 5 Realms Pill competition, Leng Chen had refined the Heaven and Earth Epiphyllum Pill with an elemental law. Although he hadn't obtained a ranking, it was still not simple. Brother Leng, if you don't mind, let's find a place to talk, said Ning Cheng quickly. He had a good relationship with Lu Dongzi from the Absolute Beginning Realm. Since Leng Chen was from the Absolute Beginning Realm and had spoken up for him, Ning Cheng wanted to ask him how to get to the Absolute Beginning Realm. You're Ning Cheng, alchemy sage Ning. Leng Chen looked at Ning Cheng in disbelief. He couldn't believe that Ning Cheng, who had disappeared during the 5 Realms Pill competition, would appear here. Not only did he appear here, but he also knew that Ning Cheng had offended Void King Boundless Palace's Feng Xian. Ning Cheng let Leng Chen see his true appearance and said, I'm indeed Ning Cheng. Brother Leng, why are you here? After confirming that it was indeed Ning Cheng in front of him, Leng Chen's eyes glowed with eagerness. Alchemy sage Ning, I didn't expect it to be you. After the 5 Realms Pill competition, I didn't return to the Absolute Beginning Realm. After seeing Brother Ning's alchemy Dao level, I realized that there's always someone better out there. I heard about alchemy sage Ning's difficult cultivation journey from Union Master Si Chen, which shocked me. I left the Absolute Beginning Realm to hone myself. I didn't expect to see alchemy sage Ning here. How are Union Master Lu and Union Master Si Chen? Ning Cheng quickly asked when he heard Leng Chen's words. Leng Chen then told Ning Cheng everything that happened in the 5 Realms Pill competition after he left. Ning Cheng felt relieved when he heard that Si Chen and Qiu Tian had taken the prizes back to the Grand Essence Realm. Where is Brother Leng planning to go? Knowing that Leng Chen had come out for a trial, Ning Cheng decided to ask about the way to the Absolute Beginning Realm before saying goodbye to the other party. Lu Dongzi's universe vegetation was still in his hands, and he wanted to find a chance to return it to the other party. Alchemy sage Ning, you don't know? Leng Chen asked in surprise. Ning Cheng shook his head, I've been in a hurry all the way here, so I really don't know. Leng Chen quickly said, actually, this matter has something to do with you. You should know about Fallen Wood Temple, right? I heard that you traded a Wood Origin bead message Jade Strip in the Boundless Palace. Didn't the Jade Strip say Fallen Wood Temple? Leng Chen asked in confusion. Ning Cheng froze. How did this matter become known to everyone? That yellow-robed youth made an oath after trading with him. How could he dare to send the news out? Right, the Boundless Palace must have forcibly obtained the news from that yellow-robed youth. That's not right. Even if the Boundless Palace got the news, they wouldn't spread it everywhere. It's Fallen Wood Temple. What happened? How did you know? Ning Cheng's tone turned solemn. Leng Chen whispered, a month after the end of the Boundless Palace's trading meet, a map Jade Strip appeared in the major void markets. The Jade Strip pointed to Fallen Wood Temple. Not only did it point to Fallen Wood Temple, but it also indicated that there was a Wood Origin bead in Fallen Wood Temple. Brother Ning, you know how attractive a Wood Origin bead is to us alchemists. I came here to try my luck and see if I can find a Wood Origin bead. Do you know where Fallen Wood Temple is? After Ning Cheng asked, he realized that he was asking nonsense. Since the map of Fallenwood Temple had appeared, it would be strange if Leng Qin didn't know about it. Take a look. Leng Qin directly handed a jade strip to Ning Cheng. Good night, friends. Chapter 11-14. As soon as Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell onto the jade strip, he could clearly see the position of the Fallenwood Temple. Obviously, as long as he followed this jade slip, he would definitely be able to find the Fallenwood Temple. Does Pil Sage Ning want to go to Fallenwood Temple? Seeing Ning Cheng looking at the jade strip without speaking, Leng Qin took the initiative to ask. Should we go to Luomu Temple? If he went, Feng Xian would most likely be waiting for him. If he didn't go, in case it was related to Tian Muwan, wouldn't he just stand by and watch her die? If Tian Muwan was replaced by Ji Luofei or Qianghua, what would he do? Perhaps he wouldn't even think about it and would just pass by. Furthermore, if he were to lose that half of the wood origin bead, he would probably lose more than just that. I need to think about it. Brother Leng, you can go first. By the way, Association Master Lu still has a book with me. I want to go to the primal beginning world. How do I get there? Ning Cheng replied after half an incense stick of time. Even if Tian Muwan went to the Fallenwood Temple, it was absolutely impossible for her to stay there. However, he still decided to go to the Fallenwood Temple. He could not go with Leng Qin. Leng Qin only admired him and used him as a goal. They were not very familiar with each other. Moreover, if something were to happen, he would implicate Leng Qin. Leng Qin did not care about it. He felt that it was normal for Ning Cheng to not go to the Fallenwood Temple. After all, the Realmless Palace was not a place for fun. I only know that if I want to return to the Grand Beginning Realm, I must go to the Five Realms Void Market. I can only teleport away after I reach the Five Realms Void Market. Leng Qin was not the guild master of the Elixir Association, so he only had a general direction to go to the Grand Beginning Realm. After separating from Leng Qin, Ning Cheng went to a merchant house. Sure enough, it was very easy to purchase a jade strip with directions to the Fallenwood Temple. Since it was so easy to purchase the locational jade strip, Ning Cheng felt even more sure that the jade strip was not leaked by the Boundless Palace. If the Boundless Palace wanted to lure him over, they wouldn't release such a large-scale positioning jade slip. The more people went, the harder it would be for him to be discovered. An hour later, Ning Cheng left the Bin Mustard Void City. This time, he didn't teleport away but chose to head to the Fallenwood Temple. Fallenwood Temple was 2 or 3 days away from the Binjia Void City. Of course, this was the speed of Ning Cheng using an ordinary flight-type weapon. He was not the only one heading to Rikiki Temple. Many people had specially teleported to Hamasuga City in order to go there. Among the many people heading towards the Fallenwood Temple, Ning Cheng did not stand out at all. 2 days later, Ning Cheng stood outside the Fallenwood Temple, only then did he understand why this place was called the Fallenwood Temple. To be precise, this was a barren planet. The surface of the planet was covered with dead trees. Some of these dead trees were broken, while others were dead. It was as if they had fallen from above, piling up together to form one irregular wooden mountain after another. Apart from these dead trees, there seemed to be nothing else on this planet. Moreover, in the middle of these wooden mountains, one giant wooden passage after another formed, just like the entrances to the ice caves that Ning Cheng had seen in the 9 primordial ice caves. It was unknown who had built a temple in front of these giant wooden passageways. The temple did not look big, and the overall structure looked like there was only one door. On the left side of the temple, there was a row of words. Boundless falling wood rustled. On the right, it was not written that the Yangtze River was rolling endlessly, but it was empty. Ning Cheng roughly estimated that there were at least tens of thousands of people gathered on this planet filled with fallen trees. The planet where Luomu Temple was located was not large, and it could only be regarded as a small floating star continent. Tens of thousands of people crowded around the periphery of Luomu Temple. Seeing the many cultivators rushing through the wooden door of the temple, Ning Cheng shook his head. He did not feel the wood origin bead. With his sensitivity to origin aura and the fact that the mysterious yellow bead had already fused with half of the wood origin bead, he would have definitely felt the wood origin bead if it appeared here. Ning Qing did not leave immediately. If the wood origin bead was hidden in someone's sea of consciousness, it would be normal for him not to feel it. Many cultivators came in and out of the temple, and many people, like Ning Qing, stood in the distance and watched. Some people came to take a look but quickly left. Most likely, they felt that the wood origin bead appearing here was a lie. Ning Qing stayed here for 5 or 6 days, during which he also approached the gate of Luomu Temple. Not to mention the aura of the wood origin bead, he didn't even feel any wood-attributed spirit qi. Similarly, Ning Qing did not find anyone from the Boundless Palace or anyone from the Boundless Palace hiding in the crowd. If it weren't for the wood origin bead being too important to Ning Qing, he would have left long ago. Some people started to get irritated and started to bring out weapons to attack Luomu Temple. Some people even brought out flames to burn the entire starland. Tens of thousands of people attacked a small starland at the same time. No matter how strong the laws of this starland were, it would still start to collapse. Sounds of laws breaking emerged, and Ning Qing sighed. He knew that he should leave now. These people didn't have the slightest sense of environmental protection. After the planet shattered, it directly turned into meteorites and became a pile of garbage in the void. Ning Qing was just about to turn around when he felt a familiar aura. It was the aura of wood origin. Ning Qing's eyes suddenly widened as he stared at the wooden gate of Luomu Temple. He didn't feel it wrong. It definitely was the aura of wood origin. Moreover, he had once obtained this kind of wood origin aura. It was the aura of the wood origin bead. The wood origin bead really was here. Ning Qing clenched his fists. The first thing he thought of was that if the wood origin bead was here, did that mean Tian Muan was also here? In just an instant, he understood what was going on. The wood origin bead should have been hidden deep inside, but after the starland where Luomu Temple was located was destroyed, the hidden wood origin bead leaked its aura. Not only Ning Qing, but the other cultivators also felt excited as if they had swallowed stimulants. Although no one screamed out, most people felt the aura of the wood origin bead. Kacha! The Luomu starland finally cracked open, and a huge void teleportation array disk appeared in front of everyone. 2 women stood in the middle of the void teleportation array disk. When Ning Qing saw these 2 people, he suddenly froze. He didn't expect Tian Muan to be here. Not only was Tian Muan here, but the blue-robed girl was also here. Ning Qing finally saw the blue-robed girl's cultivation, which should be in the Tao Essence realm. Tian Muan had also advanced to the Heaven's Mandate realm. In just a few decades, Ning Qing had to admit that Tian Muan's cultivation speed was very fast. Ning Qing quickly saw that the blue-robed girl's strength was far from the Tao Essence realm. Moreover, she seemed to have suffered some serious injuries. Ning Qing didn't know if the sifting fairy grass didn't play its intended role, which caused her injuries to not heal, or if she got injured again. Ning Qing was an array formation Grand Master. As soon as he saw the void teleportation array disk, he immediately understood what was going on. He definitely couldn't refine this void teleportation array disk. This kind of void teleportation array disk could cut through the interface and leave. It was not something that ordinary talismans could compare to. Ning Qing even suspected that this void teleportation array disk could directly cut through positional planes. Anyone who could refine this kind of void teleportation array disk definitely had to be a powerhouse in the Tao of array formations. The void teleportation array disk hadn't fully activated. But looking at the surrounding spiritual gathering array, Ning Qing understood that this array disk was gathering spirit qi. Most likely, the void teleportation array disk required a lot of spirit crystals to activate, and the blue-robed girl didn't have enough spirit crystals on her. Therefore, she had to arrange a spiritual gathering array here to gather spirit qi. But what made Ning Qing frown slightly was that Tian Muan's wood origin bead didn't enter her sea of consciousness this time. Instead, it was inside her storage ring. Putting the wood origin bead inside her storage ring, wasn't that just courting death? They're trying to gather spirit chi and prepare to activate the void teleportation array disk to teleport away. Someone immediately called out. Several cultivators immediately rushed over. When Ning Qing saw someone rushing over, he also rushed over. In any case, he couldn't let these people take away the blue-robed girl and Tian Muan. Boom boom boom. Several cultivators rushed outside the void teleportation array disk, but the powerful attack from the Dao charm outside the void teleportation array disk blew them away. Two cultivators with weaker cultivations ended up having their bodies torn apart. This kind of tragic situation immediately made the rest of the people freeze. Because of the defensive attack from the void teleportation array disk, the void teleportation array disk, which already lacked spirit chi, looked even dimmer. From the looks of it, it would take a long time for the spiritual gathering array to gather spirit chi to teleport away. Stop right there. Tian Muan suddenly raised a jade box and called out, I know that you all came here for my wood origin bead. My wood origin bead is in here. If you want it, then you can bid with spirit crystals. Whoever offers the most spirit crystals, I'm willing to exchange with them. If you all want to snatch it, then I'll degrade the wood origin bead. Let's all perish together. Tian Muan's words immediately stopped everyone. To degrade the wood origin bead was to directly use one's own life force to erase the wood origin bead's origin law aura. That way, even if someone else obtained the wood origin bead, it would still be a waste. The blue-robed girl didn't speak and just kept throwing out array flags. Ning Cheng looked at the way she threw the array flags and understood that she didn't refine this void teleportation array disk. I bid 10 million spirit crystals. Someone immediately called out. Since it was an auction, then the wood origin bead would belong to whoever offered the most spirit crystals. I bid a high-rank spirit vein and 20 million spirit crystals. Regardless of whether the wood origin bead could be traded or not, the bids kept refreshing. Ning Qing felt a little anxious. He knew that this wasn't a formal auction. Even if Tian Muan successfully bid for the wood origin bead, the blue-robed girl wouldn't be able to use spirit crystals to activate the teleportation array. Because no one would watch someone else trade the wood origin bead. Once the transaction was successful, it would mean the start of a great war. Facing so many powerhouses, including even a Dao Essence Holy Emperor, Ning Qing knew that he couldn't save Tian Muan and the blue-robed girl. What's more, he couldn't show himself in public. Even if he changed his appearance, who knew if someone would recognize him once he showed himself in the limelight? Ning Qing took out the blue-robed girl's communication pearl and sent a message, asking why the two of them were here. Ah! The blue-robed girl looked at the communication pearl on her wrist and spoke in surprise. What's wrong? Big sister? Tian Muan asked quickly. The blue-robed girl handed the communication pearl to Tian Muan. It's your big brother Ning. How could he appear here? Chapter 11:15. Tian Muan's body trembled, and she completely forgot about the wood origin bead and communication bead in her hands as she stared at the crowd in disbelief. At the altar of Forefathers' library, when Ning Cheng had sent them away, she had thought that Ning Cheng had fallen. Because of the news of Ning Cheng's death, she had cultivated crazily, but she could no longer return to her previous calm and natural state of mind. As a result, her wood origin bead could no longer stay perfectly in her sea of consciousness. Because of her anxiety and impetuosity, the wood origin bead could only be used for cultivation and could no longer be used for nourishment. It was also because she couldn't hide the aura of the wood origin bead that her elder sister ended up injured. Countless people in the crowd stared at Tian Muan's hand, while the price kept rising crazily. Xiao Cheng, is it really you? Tian Muan couldn't help but send another message to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng squeezed to the front and replied, It's me. You don't have to worry. I don't think I can take the two of you away. I'll let you activate the void teleportation array first. No, Xiao Cheng, you come with me. As long as we activate the teleportation array, we will definitely be safe. Come with me. Tian Muan's hand trembled more and more. After experiencing life and death, face and modesty became secondary. She couldn't accept it. If there was no fate, why could she still see him after leaving Earth for billions of miles? Why was there always a trace of connection between them that she couldn't say it out loud? Everyone, wait a minute. Let's talk one by one. It doesn't have to be spirit crystals for everything. How about this? Whoever can come up with 100 million high-rank spirit crystals can enter our teleportation array and talk to us. We'll talk about what else can satisfy us in addition to spirit crystals. Of course, if you don't have 100 million spirit crystals, it's not impossible to talk about other things. The blue-robed girl saw Tian Muan's excited look and knew that she couldn't go on like this. After that, she quickly sent a message to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng didn't hesitate to quote 100 million spirit crystals. The blue-robed girl immediately recognized Ning Cheng and pointed to Ning Cheng and said, "It's you. The Dao friend who quoted 100 million spirit crystals, come in and talk to us about what else you can give us." Ning Cheng rushed into the teleportation array without hesitation, leaving the cultivators outside completely baffled. The wood origin bead was good, but his life was also important. This cultivator who bid 100 million god crystals was just a Dao actualization divine emperor. What right did he have to talk to a Dao essence divine emperor? Plus, even if the conversation was successful, could this Dao actualization divine emperor take the wood origin orb and leave? Xiao Cheng, Tian Mu Wan, who had been suffering in her heart, on seeing Ning Cheng come in, immediately burst into tears. The first time they met in the mysterious yellow starland, she could still prop up her hard shell to protect herself. The next time they met, her protective outer shell had long since shattered with a crack. There was something called suffering. Every time she didn't cultivate, that kind of suffering was not something that others could imagine. The wood origin bead was unwilling to stay in her knowledge sea, which made her suffer even more. She really regretted it. If life only lasted for a few decades, then her regrets would only last for a few decades. Perhaps she would have died long before she had time to regret it. Originally, she thought that she was strong enough to face everything calmly, but when some things really happened again, she realized that she was still far from being strong. Muan, there is no right or wrong between you and Xiaocheng. You don't have to be like this. Everyone here understands. Now is not the time to talk about this. The people outside are eyeing us covetously. We have to discuss this quickly. The blue-robed girl persuaded Tian Mu Wan. Tian Mu Wan's hand holding the jade box turned pale, but she listened to the blue-robed girl's words. She just pursed her lips and stopped herself from speaking. Ning Cheng nodded. Senior apprentice Sister Yi, you can speak. If I can help, I will definitely help. The blue-robed girl took in a deep breath and said to Ning Cheng gratefully, Senior apprentice brother Ning, thank you for saving me and Muan last time. Although I don't know how you escaped, it must not have been easy. As I said, I owed you last time, and I might owe you again this time. Ning Cheng waved his hand, don't say that. We're all friends. It's not a big deal to help. The blue-robed girl didn't continue being polite, then I'll make it short. I don't know how you came here, but we can talk about it later. For now, you can take out a few million spirit crystals to activate this void teleportation array disk. As long as the array disk activates, we can leave this place together. You should have just reached the Dao sculpting realm, which means your cultivation speed is already very fast. As long as you can see my father, your cultivation speed in the future will be many times faster than it is now. Whether it's medicinal pills or cultivation resources, you can have as many as you want. The blue-robed girl's injuries weren't light, and her Dao charm was missing. Therefore, she didn't check Ning Cheng's cultivation. However, in her opinion, Ning Cheng was at most at the Dao sculpting realm, and that was because he had left the mysterious yellow starland. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. He knew that Tian Mu Wan and the blue-robed girl should have gone to the sacred Dao world. Previously, he had planned to go to the sacred Dao world to look for the wood origin bead. But now that Tian Mu Wan was here, if he wanted to trade for the wood origin bead, he wouldn't have to go to the sacred Dao world. As for relying on the blue-robed girl's father, Ning Cheng never thought about it. He and the blue-robed girl were just ordinary friends, and he had only saved her twice. Even if they were good friends, Ning Cheng wouldn't rely on a woman's father. What's more, he had to go back and prepare for the Tao-confirming realm and then take away his sister Rulin and Luofei. When Tian Muwan heard the blue-robed girl's words, she bit her lips even more tightly, with her understanding of based on her understanding of Ning Cheng. If her big sister had asked Ning Cheng to send them away, Ning Cheng might have left with them. But her big sister said that her father would help, so Ning Cheng definitely wouldn't go with them. Sure enough, Ning Cheng said, "I won't go with you. I have a way to get away. Think about it, I could walk away from the altar of Forefathers Library, so you don't have to worry about me. Well, I'll activate the void teleportation array. Little Cheng, this is for you." I. Tian Muwan put the wood origin bead box in Ning Cheng's hand. Ning Cheng immediately knew that something bad had happened when he grabbed the box. He was about to ask Tian Muwan about the wood origin bead. But he knew that he couldn't just send it like this. Even if Tian Muwan wanted to give him the wood origin bead, she would have to wait until he activated the void teleportation array. But now that Tian Muwan gave him the wood origin bead, Ning Cheng couldn't push it back. He didn't even have time to speak before throwing out spirit crystals. He then sprinkled out array flags while stuffing a ring into Tian Muwan's hand. "Take care of yourself. Let's meet again if fate wills it." Sure enough, when Tian Muwan handed the wood origin bead box to Ning Cheng, the cultivators watching from the outside rushed over. All kinds of weapons rushed towards the void teleportation array. Apparently, they wanted to break the void teleportation array and snatch it. The defensive light of the void teleportation array shook under the attacks. Fortunately, Ning Cheng promptly threw out 100 million high-rank spirit crystals at once. The first attack wasn't too much, and it managed to block it. Ning Cheng took the opportunity to rush out of the void teleportation array and brought out the everlasting blue thunder fort. At this time, hiding were all fake. Taking out his cards to save his life was the most important thing. All kinds of attacks landed on Ning Cheng's everlasting blue thunder fort, causing lightning to splatter everywhere. During the short time that Ning Cheng blocked the void teleportation array, the void teleportation array turned into a ray of light before disappearing into the void. No one cared about the void teleportation array. Everyone could clearly see that the wood origin bead was with Ning Cheng. Seeing Ning Cheng fall into the endless attacks, Tian Muwan felt her mind go blank. She felt that she had done something wrong again. After handing over the wood origin bead to Ning Cheng, she felt that the connection between her and Ning Cheng had disappeared without a trace. It seemed that the reason why she could meet Ning Cheng twice was because of the wood origin bead. Before she could continue to think about it, dizziness hit her, and she found herself sucked into the teleportation light. No matter how strong the everlasting blue thunder fort was, after enduring so many attacks, Ning Cheng couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Seeing more and more cultivators flocking over, and the surrounding space filled with all kinds of Dao charm auras, Ning Cheng knew that he couldn't escape. Tens of thousands of cultivators didn't all come forward to snatch the wood origin bead. Most of the cultivators still had some bottom line. Since the thing fell into someone else's hands, it naturally belonged to them. Besides, even if they tried to snatch it, they might not be able to get it. However, there were still hundreds of cultivators attacking Ning Cheng, and some were even eager to give it a try. Several Dao Essence Holy Emperors hesitated. It wasn't that they were too embarrassed to snatch it, but once one of them moved, the rest would most likely follow suit. Another wave of attacks arrived, and Ning Cheng spat out another mouthful of essence blood. The everlasting blue thunder fort didn't have an artifact spirit, so Ning Cheng couldn't withstand so many attacks. After spitting out the second mouthful of essence blood, Ning Cheng gave up on escaping. He raised his hand, and the void cold light spear appeared in his hand. Following that, a blue stone arch bridge appeared under his feet, and a surging yellow river roared around him like a long dragon. "Since you want my life, then I'll exchange it with your life." The void cold light spear swept up traceless spear intents one after another. Some Tao sculpting and even Tao nourishment holy emperors were sliced into blood mists and separated from their bodies. The Yellow River seemed to feel Ning Cheng's killing intent and roared even more in the blood mist. More than a dozen Tao transformation holy emperors were swept away by the river and disappeared without a trace. In just a few breaths, a large area around Ning Cheng became empty. Hundreds of Tao confirmation holy emperors were killed by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's slaughter didn't make these people give way. On the contrary, the cultivators who were watching from the side rushed over like bloodthirsty vampires when they saw the Yellow Springs Bridge. Even a few Tao Essence holy emperors who wanted to watch for a while couldn't hold back their greed and rushed towards Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng let out a long roar, and his eyes also turned red. The everlasting Blue Thunder Fort expanded without limit. Lightning rushed out of the Blue Thunder Fort and turned some low-level cultivators into charcoal. After the Void Cold Light Spear's traceless spear rune, it formed void collapses one after another, constantly killing lives. The fourth Yellow Springs Bridge's roar also became more and more ferocious. Some cultivators who retreated to the outside of the Yellow Springs Bridge were stunned by the inexplicable spiritual consciousness stings and were swept away by the Yellow Springs Bridge. The void where the Fallen Wood Temple was located was filled with a bloody storm.